Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thursday night here on the P1 Broadcasting Network. And you know what that means? It's AMA time. It is the Blackmagic Studios AMA Grand National Series, and we are here at the Rockingham Speedway in Rockingham, North Carolina, a place near and dear to both Sam Crow and I's hearts. And Sam, we've got 250 laps of fun-filled action this evening, my man.
Oh, I cannot believe we're finally here. I love this racetrack. I love the atmosphere here. It's a great place to see a race. There's not a bad seat in the house. And it is, if you're a racer that likes to work the wheel and drive the race car, this is the place to do it in this Xfinity car, this Grand National car. So I am so excited to be here and just glad to be a part of what the AMA is doing. I love the diversity of tracks that they're running. And this track will challenge our drivers, and so I'm so beside myself that we're finally here.
I only can echo that. Like Sam, I have been here several times. The drive from Indiana to the Sand Hills in North Carolina is a long one, but it's well worth it when you pull up U.S. Route number 1 and into the Rock. There is a giant rock monument in front of the racetrack. There's also a drag strip, which is, for a long time, was home of the IHRA, which is the rival to the NHRA. A lot of people don't know that. It is across the street. Kind of a cool thing. This track, of course, you never been to the drag strip?
Oh, no. I was agreeing with you. No, I've been to that. I've been to the drag strip many times. For the NASCAR event, though, it was the landing strip for their airplanes.
Yeah. Because there is no
airport. Great pictures online that'll show you all the private planes that were out by the drag strip.
Yeah,
and the fields surrounding the track were completely inundated with cars, and there's planes all along the drag strip.
There is no airport in Rockingham, North Carolina. So Sam is absolutely correct. They do use the drag strip. There is also a half-mile, basically miniature Martinsville that is out back of the backstretch, and you'll see it from time to time on the blimp shot. Now, Sam, that's an interesting. It's an interesting track. It is a test track only. It was built by Andy Hillenberg when he owned the joint. It is basically a replica of Martinsville with no walls. So you go around that place and you go around the Little Rock, and if you get sideways or crash or whatever have you, you just slide off into a gravel trap. And there's a funny story about Jimmy Johnson testing his Lowe's number 48 Hendrick Chevrolet there. He spun off and just about drilled his trailer that was parked off to the side because there was nothing to stop his car.
Nothing to stop him.
Yeah,
yep.
Nothing to stop him. The track at one point held over 60,000 race fans, and that's because that giant concrete pad on the back, that was at one time a giant grandstand. It is gone now. The capacity reduced to 30,000 once the Cup Series left. The track does now hold. They run some truck races here in recent years, and I believe they are bringing these cars back here this year. Is that not right, Sam?
Actually, it's this weekend.
It is this weekend, and so you are 100% correct. I completely forgot that, Sam.
This weekend.
Yeah, this track was also a victim of track expansion within NASCAR. So when the FERCO lawsuit happened and Texas Motor Speedway got its date, this track was required to change hands, and it sat dormant for a very, very long time. It was sold to Andy Hillenberg, who ran the American 500 here for the ARCA series for many years. He went bankrupt, and it has been purchased now by a local group. Is that right, Sam? Make sure I've got that right.
No, you're exactly right.
Yeah, it's been purchased by a local group. They got some state grant money to help make improvements to the track. They have music festivals here now. There's a Cars Tour event that was scheduled but did not happen. And then NASCAR has finally returned. They announced the return last year. They're going to bring the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series here. And they've also repaved the road course, which, if you haven't had a chance to drive that thing in iRacing, it is an interesting layout for certain sure, and you can see it. The track records here, well, I don't have the track records. Sam? Sam, I didn't do.
Like you.
I didn't do my homework. I will say the track records here do not matter because as soon as you pull the car off a pit road, the tires are shot, Sam.
So it's gone into oblivion now. The track records have all gone into oblivion.
Let me furiously work the Google. Hold on.
Oh, that was great. I loved it.
Normally they're all right there, and they are they have gone away. The oh man, Richard Petty is the all-time winningest driver here with 11 wins. The well, don't Google NASCAR track records because it doesn't pop up a sheet for Rockingham. Please hold. Sam, talk about Rockingham.
The thing that I love about Rockingham is that many people do not associate Rockingham to what happened to Dale Earnhardt Sr. But it was very poignant after we lost Dale Earnhardt Sr. at Daytona. The next race was at Rockingham.
Yeah, it was.
And so that race was actually won by Steve Park in a DEI car.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just which we all know that when Kevin Harvick won at Atlanta for the first race in the 29, it was a very emotional thing. But a lot of people they discount and forget that Steve Park actually won the next race in one of Dale Earnhardt's cars for his team the very next race, and it was just it's a very emotional thing. But it's just more than that. There's just been so many memories there of truck races, Grand National races, ARCA races at this particular event can put on as it was in the past. There was a great atmosphere in Rockingham.
Yeah, I enjoyed it every time I went there. I was there for the last one where Carl Long famously did the barrel rolls down the backstretch, and his interview on TV, he said, "Well, I don't have a very fast car, but if anybody needs their name in a highlight reel, come see me." I was there for that one. That car actually, we followed that car back to Charlotte along the interstate for quite a long time. It was just on a rollback because Carl Long didn't have.
I was going to say, was it still rolling?
It was on a rollback. It was strapped to a because he didn't have a trailer. He had brought it up on an open trailer and and had tried to make the race, and he made it. And Carl Long didn't have two nickels rubbed together, and so I think he only bought 3 or 4 sets of tires for the weekend. He put it in the show and rode off his only car, and he had to bring it back on a flatbed. But I remember following that car back to Charlotte to get our flight back home. So with that said, I did not find the track record, but I did find what the testing times were in preseason testing. So Gio Ruggiero, 21,888 in a truck. Corey Day was fastest among the Xfinity cars with a lap of 22,540. Just so we're all clear, Rusty Wallace holds the absolute track record here at 158.033 miles an hour. They're going basically 10 miles an hour faster than what Rusty lapped the track at. This is an older scan, so we're not going to see huge numbers here, but what we are going to see are some tremendous what we are going to see is some tremendous action, and we're going to get up on the roof cam of our man Kyle Heath, and we're going to show you exactly what this looks like to go around Rockingham.
Kyle Heath is in a new paint tonight as well.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Now he's going to touch 160 miles an hour down the back, right down along the bottom. Sam can tell me whether or not he likes this line or not. I can never manage Sam to make a lap around here. I always wind up in the fence.
A lot of drivers, they take two approaches. Some drivers like to drive in deep and use a lot more brake. I have always found that less brake saves tire. And so I'm letting off and rolling in with very little brake, and getting around the track quickly is always at the bottom.
Yeah,
if you're riding along with Kyle Heath here, you'll see how much of a handful, even the straightaways are bumpy on this racetrack. And there's a lot of wheel action. It disturbs the suspension on the car, and you're constantly trying to work the throttle so that you don't upset the suspension and lose grip or spin the tires. And that's where a lot of drivers have difficulty is having the throttle control enough that when the suspension is loading and unloading so much in the corner that you may get some sequential wheel spin and cause more wear. Or what happens in the run is that these cars will get incredibly pushy off of turn 2. That'll be your action corner tonight, because the cars will be coming off of turn 2 and they will hammer that outside wall trying to get a run off. And so it's going to be interesting to see how the drivers manage. However, I do want to say that over the last couple of years, that iRacing has done a great job in working this particular track, that you can run a higher line. And I have seen cars run mid to top and get decent speed and maintain some level of tire wear. However, the more you're in the throttle, the more tire wear you use. So if you run the bottom, you use a little less throttle and you save tire. But if you run at the top, you may use a little bit more tire. But they can be competitive up there. I've seen it. I've lost to people that have run up there.
We just saw it. Ryan O'Donohue ran the middle, 24.405. He goes to the top of the board. So Ryan O'Donohue, quickest cat in the alley. That's going to give us a run for Sean Merriman. We're down to the last minute 30 here. Ryan O'Donohue on the provisional pole. Kyle Heath outside. Heaney, Siegfried, and Greg Evans round out your top 5. Benz, Milnes, Moquin, Cofield, and Godnez are the remainder of the top 10. We're going to take a look at the laps now for Sean Merriman. And there's Sean, and he's on this first lap. He is running kind of that middle line. I always kind of preferred the diamond here, Sam, for whatever reason. That was the way that I kept the car out of the fence when I could keep it out. The other thing that
1 and 2 is beneficial because again, the car gets so pushy off of 2. If you can diamond 1 and 2, because it is a little bit more narrow in 1 and 2, you can avoid having that happen during a race. But 3 and 4 is really the bottom. It seems to be where it works the best.
Yeah, really is. The other thing is we have run the open wheel cars here. It is adventurous because the turn 2 wall literally. We're coming off of there. You see Lee Campbell. He's 130 miles an hour off of turn number 2. The turn 2 wall is like turn 2 now, which is old turn 4 at Darlington. It wants to reach out. It feels like it wants to reach out and grab you.
It hates race cars.
Imagine going through there at 205 miles an hour instead of 125.
I can't even imagine that you'd even have a skid plate left after all that.
You don't. And when you hit over there, it just throws you toward the inside wall. We do have a field ready to go, though, Sam. And let's get the starting grid out here.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. Let's go racing at Rockingham.
I'm ready for it. I know you're here for it. Ryan O'Donohue's here for it. He's on the pole with a lap of 142.9909 miles an hour. Surprise, surprise, Kyle Heath is going to flank him to the outside. Jason Heaney and Joshua Siegfried, they're going to make up row number 2. Greg Evans, Trevor Benz, they're going to be row 3. Nolan Milnes, Michael Moquin going to start 7 and 8. And Mark Cofield, Dylan Godnez, they're going to round out your top 10 in 11th. Troy Carricker, Sean Merriman's going to roll 12th. Joseph Klein 13th. Lee Campbell 14th. Brian Wasserman, nice solid run for Wasserman. He's going to go 15th. Caleb Jones is going to go off 16th. Edmund James, Corey Crandall, Braden Langley, and Donald Green. That's a nice lap from Donald. It's a nice top 20 start for Donald Green. Good work for him, and thank you so much for him joining in the chat, Sam.
I do want to let the viewers know that Trevor Benz will be serving a end of line penalty at the beginning of the race. Though he did qualify in the 6th spot, he will be going to the back of the field at the start.
Very good. Paul French is going to go 21st. Mark Allett 22nd. James Hodson, Justin Osterman, Michael Kirk, Brian Sharp, John Hutchins, and Eric Quarter did not take time. They will round out the 29 car field. Michael Kirk, John Hutchins are not signed in to the event, and as we mentioned, we are going to have one car going to the back to serve a penalty. That's going to be Trevor Benz.
probably not a bad strategy if you wanted to not take a time and start in the back. If you can just avoid any chaos that may happen ahead of you and save some tire. These cars will do. We will get our stage brakes, but you can get about 85 to 90 laps on a tank.
Yeah, fuel is not going to be the concern here, Sam. The concern is going to be. Lights
are back on the pace car. We're not going green this time. We are.
The concern is going to be tires. Now, here's the thing: you've got 2 stage brakes. You've only got 4 sets of tires in the pits and 1 on the car.
Yes.
So when you take those tires is likely going to dictate who wins this race. As we see the field stream by, we'll put Sam in his favorite seat right at the top of the scoring tower. There he is.
I'm waving.
We're going to call this the Sam Cam.
This is where I sit. If they have a seat there, I will sit there.
Mine were always off to the left of this a little bit. We were like right at kind of the edge.
In real life, my favorite place to sit at the track was right. Now this configuration's a little different, but there were some wood bleachers coming out of 2, and they extended up to the concrete top on the back stretch, and that top along the concrete at the top of those wooden bleachers was where I liked to sit, right off of 2. In fact, I was at the race when Bill Elliott crashed into the turn 2 wall, and he hit with such an impact it broke his leg. I was there at that race. It sounded like a bomb that went off. He hit that wall so hard.
I believe it. The cars here, this track has always been kind of famous for tremendous impacts because of the angles, especially coming off of turn 2. You can hit that wall just an absolute ton. And even though the cars don't appear to be going as fast as even though cars aren't going as fast as they do, even at similar mile tracks like Dover, just the angles and the force with which you make contact coming off of turn 2, especially over there, you hit super hard. And it's a blessing that the safer barrier is available now. Because many a driver's been hurt over there. This track also has a backstretch pit lane that's still available. Unlike the other,
I think all of our competitors are going to be able to use the front stretch.
Well, the front stretch holds all 43 now. It's been extended all the way around, if you recall.
Yeah.
But what I meant is the backstretch pit lane still exists, and so there's not a lot of runoff room down there, is what I was getting at, Sam. And so you can
that wall, that inside retaining wall,
yeah, that inside retaining wall hurts. Be that as it may,
tighten those belts. We're going green.
Sam, we got to talking, and we need to stop talking. They're racing.
Now Jeffrey Hyde is actually just now coming off the pit road, and Donald Green is still sitting on pit road.
They are both there. I think Donald Green might have elected. Let's go back and see what happened to Donald Green.
We've got a spin. Oh, he saves it, and he takes it to the bottom of the track. That was the 99 of Joshua Siegfried.
It was.
He saved the car.
It was Joshua Siegfried, and we're going to go back and take a look at what happened to Joshua Siegfried here.
Again, the cold tires, and you go on entry, and if you're using too much brake bias, you or not enough brake bias, then you're going to find that the car could come around on you like that.
Yeah, Donald Green had said that he had his belts tight, he was ready to go. Wanted to shout out Tony Stewart for winning the drag race in Vegas, and he had some trouble on the start. Here's the near spin from Joshua Siegfried. He saves it, gets it down in the apron, but it costs him darn near 15 spots.
Yes.
In the interim, Donald Green has come off a pit road. Unfortunately for Donald, he got a black flag speeding on exit, so he's going to get to bring that car right back down.
No.
Kyle Heath has the lead.
Raining and pouring for Donald Green tonight.
We need to buy that man an umbrella. I don't think I've seen more bad luck for one guy than we've seen for Donald Green, and certainly at some point that's going to change around. A guy that's having all the good luck right now, that's Kyle Heath. He leads it. Jason Heaney second. Dylan Godness has charged up to third in the 08. He's not worried about burning those tires off. He hits the wall, but just keeps on trucking.
Yeah, I've seen several drivers already getting that turn 2 kiss here at the Rock, and actually Dylan Godinez got his off of turn 4.
Yeah, you can get it either. You can get it on either end here. You can get it on either end here, Sam. It's not mutually exclusive. Both ends of this track are extremely treacherous. It's not just the angles and it's not just the bumps. The pavement is nice and wore out too. I couldn't recall when they last paved this track, but the surface itself has to be 30 years old or more, I would think.
Oh, there's probably no question about that. That's probably accurate. There was a lot of repairs that were done to the facility recently, as far as paving and patches and repairs and
weed pulling
to the track surface. But this scan, as you alluded to at the beginning of the broadcast, this particular scan is probably close to 25, 30 years.
And it's not just
we got someone all the way up at the wall.
Going
into turn 1.
Go to the back here.
I did not see who that was.
I don't see anybody rapidly dropping time other than Joshua Siegfried on the bottom. He went all the way back to 20th. He's made it back up to the rear bumper of Corey Crandall, and Siegfried hunting back to the front. It's not just that the pavement is old and bumpy. That's not what makes it treacherous. It's in the same part of the country, same kind of soil makeup as Darlington. As a matter of fact, if you looked at it on a map, Darlington and Rockingham are not that far apart.
No, I think it's an hour and a half.
Yeah, they're not far apart at all.
No, or maybe less than an hour. It is flat, level country out there in eastern North Carolina. Not a lot of trees. It gets extremely hot. And so, we got the 7. Joseph Klein is sideways in 1, but he saves it. Oh, the drivers are doing it. I wonder if he had some help there.
You know what? We're going to go back and take a look at it, Sam. You called it. Here is the 7 of Joseph Klein.
Oh, no question he had help here with Braden Langley. Oh, we have a caution on the Speedway. Oh, we have 2 cars crashing, and Braden Langley is in this event as well.
So is Justin Osterman in the 53, and this started a while back. So you still see Klein slow, trying to get back up to speed. Braden Langley comes off a turn 2 and wallops the turn 2 fence. Justin Osterman running along behind him. Osterman's going to get to his outside here. And I'd bet you a dime, Sam, they're going to come down here at turn 3, and there are going to be door handles that get rubbed.
Well, I really think
right there,
Braden is apologizing that he had some failure or something going on. But if you watch him, it's almost like he can't turn the car. He just goes right into the door of Osterman here, and then he can't get away from him. The car's sideways. He's trying to hold on, and then Osterman is trying to preserve himself and get a good run off of 4 here, so he keeps it tight, and then they just make contact again. And he got sideways enough off of 4 that it would bring out the caution.
Yes, it does. I don't believe either one of them hit anything. They just took
No, they just went for a ride through the grass, and the damage that they occurred was just where they had made contact to each other's cars. But Braden Langley was quick on the comms to apologize to Justin about the contact.
There you go. So caution on the Speedway. Kyle Heath leads it. Joshua Siegfried, Paul French, Jeffrey Hyatt have made the decision to come down pit lane. I am surprised that after superheating their tires, the cars of I can't talk tonight, and that's bad for a man that makes his living talking into a microphone. Justin Osterman and Braden Langley didn't elect to come to pit road. Donald Green is going to get one of his 7 laps back, so put him 6 down. You are never out of it, right? With a lucky dog at a place like this, and we know there's going to be some more stage breaks, Sam.
13 laps of green flag at the very beginning of this race is giving me some hope that we're actually going to see some exciting racing going on here, that drivers are actually understanding the importance of preserving their tires on this racetrack. I told you before we got into the broadcast, the poster track for patience has to be Rockingham. I mean, there are other tracks that you alluded to, such as Darlington, uh, Iowa is another track. Those tracks also institute that we need to have a lot of patience. But Rockingham adds, by adding the bumps and the configuration itself and just how it wears out tires, it really does demand a whole lot of attention when it comes to patience.
So, Sam, I do have an answer for you on the distance.
You
difference
got the
between-
track record.
No, on the distance between Darlington and Rockingham, from door to door of each speedway, 64 miles, 1 hour, 21 minutes.
Oh, so I was right the first time.
Yeah, you're pretty doggone close. Depending on how fast you drive, you could probably make it in an hour, because it's only it's 57 miles. We're getting ready to come back to green. Kyle Heath leads the field. Jason Heaney is second. Moakman third.
I noticed, and I made a point in my notes to mention too. I noticed with the contact between Braden Langley and Joseph Klein.
We're 3 wide for second, Sam, momentarily. Hold that thought.
Absolutely.
Dylan Godness, my goodness.
Action always has precedence over.
Dylan Godness drops to the bottom of Michael Moakman. They're going to beat on.
They make contact on the front stretch.
They're gonna start beating on doors here. Moakman gets ahead of Godness, but Godness made that 3 wide. Heaney did not get a good restart. Godness made it 3 wide momentarily there, and we are still side by side. We got a car in the wall, still smacking the wall. That is Caleb Jones. He's hard in the wall,
completely into the wall.
Now that's a caution.
Bring out a caution.
That is a caution. And it has
he really collected a lot of the field here.
Yes, he did. Well, he got sideways in front of the field. He collects Brian Sharp.
Braden Langley gets a piece of this. Brian Sharp gets a piece of this.
Siegfried Quarter also involved.
James Hodgson, Siegfried.
Now this
Coker, Quarter.
This starts, Sam, off of turn number 2. You see Caleb Jones, and he is high, wide, and handsome, but the top line is not where you need to be coming off of turn 2. There's hit
there
1.
There are no Harry Gantz here.
No, you can do that in turns 3 and 4. You do not want to do it through 1 and 2. You want to be on the bottom. He hits the wall and he can't get off of it. He hits Osterman again.
The track is so bumpy right there. There's a lot of play in the suspension there. Once he hits the wall, he's trying to gather it up.
All right, so now he's finally wrecked it. Poor Brian Sharp, nowhere to go. James Hodgson gets in the back of him. Around goes Joshua Siegfried. You've got the number 3 of Nolan.
Wow, what an impact with James Hodgson. That might be terminal.
Yeah, Siegfried was sliding, and I thought Siegfried was going to get away with it. He finally gets cleaned out by Eric Quarter. The 37 stops, as does the 3 of Trevor Benz. Brian Sharp's hood wants to keep racing there. It is not going to be able to continue to do so. And I know the speed, and we showed the speed earlier. Here's the thing, fans. When you're going along through here at Rockingham, this is what this looks like from the roof of Brian Sharp. Unfortunately for Brian Sharp,
watch his car get over here when James Hodgson gets into him.
Yeah, he gets hit hard
completely up in the air. That's crazy.
Yeah, he gets absolutely cleaned out. So we're going to go back one more time, and we'll get close in on Brian Sharp and just watch how tremendous this impact is. Several cars on pit lane. Caleb Jones and Brian Sharp have the meatballs. Nobody else, by the way, got a meatball out of that. Boom.
Really?
No, not even James Hodgson.
James Hodgson did not get a meatball there?
He does not have the meatball, I promise you. Brian Sharp has one.
Wow.
James Hodgson does not. Hodgson is on the pit lane, and I'm sure that we've got some required repair on the number 88. But
Well, they're still looking for his hood, so I'm sure there's required repair.
it's I'm sure it's fine. It's
There's
just
a there's a fan running away from the track with that hood in his hand.
no joke. Back to green flag action.
I did see at the Bristol Xfinity race where one of the cars was involved in a incident during the race, and then the camera crews actually showed a fan who had taken a piece of the sheet metal and was running away in the pit area with it.
You know, that used to be very much commonplace. Do want to put a highlight on Jeffrey Hyatt here. Hyatt is in the number 29 machine. He stopped under that first yellow lap 8. He has fresh rubber on the number 29 machine, and with that last accident, he was not involved. But I'll tell you what, it's numbered 0 on the car. It's 29 in your program, and whatever he's got painted on the side of that bad boy, it's coming to the front. He's going to drop underneath Corey Crandall, move Jeffrey Hyatt to 12th, and he is passed a ton of cars. He at one point was 27th on this field.
It shows you how important tires are at this particular. Now he has to be careful. If he pushes too hard, then his tires are going to equalize right off, and he's going to be running the same lap speeds as drivers that have 20-lap tires if he's not careful.
Yeah, you can hurt him pretty bad. But what I meant to, my ultimate point with talking about how close this place is to Darlington, and it's not really all that far from Atlanta either. When you think about it, you know, this track is what, an hour north of Charlotte, 90 minutes maybe. Charlotte and Atlanta are not that far apart either. And they're all the same kind of soil makeup. It's really sandy soil, and that's why these tracks are so hard on tires. Imagine a paving job that's done with what more or less amounts to sandpaper, and it's bumpy, and it's wore out.
Yes, sir.
Like, you can look, if you go to Darlington or Rockingham and you go just physically look down at the pavement, you can see the stones and the sand in the pavement. And I can recall cars coming out of here with the noses sandblasted. You remember that, Sam?
Oh, you couldn't even see the paint. That was back when they actually painted cars. They didn't use contemporary wraps like they do now. They actually painted the bodies back then, and so during the races there'd be so much sand and debris that it would just wear the paint completely off the front of the car. Yeah,
looking in on the number 2 of Greg Evans, he is running around 8th position here. He is your points leader by a wide margin, Mr. 3-time. Greg Evans, I understand Kendall Paul, who is not here, the series director, has put a bounty on Greg Evans for this one, but Greg just kind of biding his time there. He is behind Nolan Milnes, run along in the top 10, and I would suspect, Sam, and I might bet you more than a dime. We'll call this one a 25-cent bet. Greg Evans is not driving as hard as the deuce will go.
As I've said in the past, Greg can be a very cerebral driver. He's very purposeful, and so there's not a race that I've ever seen him get into that he doesn't have a plan, or that he doesn't have already in his mind how he wants to run that race. There's not any tracks that he hasn't run, so I'm sure that Greg probably is pacing himself to some degree and trying to slowly work his way up. I mean, we're only 30 laps in, and if you can get 85 to 90 laps to a tank, even though we're going to get a competition caution, he still wants to save tire. And he's already made up a position. He just passed the one of Nolan Milnes, and he's working on Michael Moquin. It was interesting during the last caution. There was a lot of conversation going on between Dylan Godinez and those cars that he was running 3 wide with up front, as we see Greg Evans pass Michael Moquin, and he's making his way up to Joshua Siegfried and Sean Merriman. So there was a lot of conversation going on about the racing that early in the event. You were talking about diamonding the corner, and as we see Dylan Godinez doing just that, who's running in third position. As he goes into one, he goes in low, and he kind of
drifts it up a little bit. Yeah. Well,
and then he straightens out turn 2.
Yeah, Godinez has been one of those guys, Sam, at least in the early going here, that has shown he's willing to spend whatever's in the tire bank. Dylan Godnez started this race in 10th, and he immediately charged for the front of this field, and he is making it. Right now, Dylan Godnez runs along in third, and he is catching, or he was catching. No, he is catching Jason Heaney for second. He is a 10th faster than both Kyle Heath and Jason Heaney. So keep your eyes out on this number 08 machine. He's going to the front. Give a shout out to Ryan O'Donohue. He is back with another good-looking paint scheme. There he is. Ryan O'Donohue runs along in fourth. Do want to thank all of the sponsors here in the American Motorsports Association, especially Blackmagic Studios, the title sponsor of the Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series. If you need a paint for your iRacing car, you need a wrap, go hit up Andy and Brian and the guys over at Blackmagic Studios. It is a paint worth 2/10. They'll get you hooked up, Facebook, Discord, whatever the case. You can see me. I'll gladly pass along their information. They've been a long-time supporter of mine. We do thank them. Also, Archway Industrial Coatings, Admin Box, Track Racer, and Rogue Energy Drink. Do want to thank all of the sponsors for the AMA. We also do want to thank our audience. We do have another big crowd here tonight for the AMA. Do want to thank you for showing up, tuning in, and making us a part of your Thursday night. If you haven't already, make sure you smash the like button on the video. Ring the bell, subscribe to the channel, be notified of all future AMA races, as well as any other broadcasts on the P1 Broadcasting Network. Tomorrow night, Sam and I are going to be right back here for the pickup trucks, and the trucks here are actually faster, Greg, than the Xfinity cars. As we're watching Dylan Godnez, he's dropped to the inside of Jason Heaney for second, and Ryan O'Donohue has visions of making that 3 wide over here.
Oh, it's going to get racy here very quickly, because as they get side by side, guess who's creeping up on these three?
I need my Jaws music. It's
exactly.
He
is slowly, steadily creeping up into this race. What a big run into 3.
It's not creeping anymore. He's there. Greg Evans is all over the. He is all over the back of. He is all over the back of Jason Heaney. We'll get on the roll bar. Talk about the weather here a little bit. 78 degrees in the air, 95 on the track. You could not any more order a better day for an automobile race than they've simulated here tonight at the Rockingham Speedway. And Greg Evans, he's going to turn it left and dive right underneath Jason Heaney. Can Evans make the move and get it done?
Watch that closing speed. You'll see Ryan O'Donohue really close in on Godnez right there going into 1. Ryan O'Donohue was clearly fast in qualifying and practice, and so that closing speed is very important. Oh, he gets dangerously close in 3 there. He's going to work him here for the pass. He's got position on him.
And Dylan Godnez got really loose coming off of.
Guess who took advantage of that?
Yeah. How about that, Greg Evans? He's going to get through Dylan Godnez as well. So, and all that scrap, move O'Donohue to second, Evans to third, Godnez to fourth, and Jason Heaney is starting to fall through the field like a stone. He's got Sean Merriman behind him, then Nolan Milnes and Troy Carricker. They're all lined up to take a shot at the number 9. I got to believe the tires on that 9 machine are just about shot.
As we see Dylan Godnez getting into the wall, he's trying very hard to get a high entry now into 1 so that he can get a big run off of 2. And so he's just barely touching that wall in turn 1 to try and get as much height off of his entry. And now we see Greg Evans going around Ryan O'Donohue, as now he's picking up the pace. And as we see other drivers that are falling off, after about 25-30 laps, you really start to see a difference in who's saving tire and who isn't. And about 45 laps into a run, you can really tell who's abused that right rear or the right front.
I'm going to read off some numbers here for you, Sam. Last time through, Kyle Heath, 25,791. Ryan O'Donohue, 26,216. Jason Heaney, 26,460. Greg Evans, 25,642. So I think we know who's saving the tires and who's not. We also in that bracket with saving tires, Sean Merriman in 5th. He's in the 25.8 range. So is Jeffrey Hyatt. Now remember, Hyatt's got 14 laps fewer on his tires. He has arrived at the back of Troy Character. Jeffrey Hyatt is in 9th. So all the way from 27th to 9th here for the 29 numbered 0.
I wondered if
screen.
Jeffrey heard our broadcast, and we were talking about not using up those good tires too early, and he really started pacing himself, and so it's a good indicator that he probably is doing that, and just patiently waiting to make his passes one car at a time. It's really the best strategy if you've got these tires and want to make the most of them.
Oh, we got contact. We got trouble.
Paul French is trying to get out of the way.
He goes up and makes contact with Carricker. Great move by everybody to avoid the trouble. Troy Carricker blinked a little bit, and I wondered if that had anything to do with it, with the ultimate contact there. Just couldn't see where Carricker was.
Well, I think what happened was Paul French was trying to stay at the bottom and out of the way, and he caught the curbing into one, and it just threw his car straight into Carricker.
And now Carricker gets into the wall coming off of turn 2, so that's going to allow Hyatt in the 8th position. Jeffrey Hyatt is among the fastest cars on the racetrack. Don't think he's got enough time. He's 6 seconds off the lead. Don't think he's got time to get up there, but he's definitely going to have a chance. To make it certainly on the podium. Just 2.5 for the stage, 2.5 seconds up the road to Ryan O'Donohue, and he is catching these guys in a hurry. Speaking of catching cars in a hurry, Greg Evans. He's got the bit between his teeth, Sam. There's another 10th chopped out that time. Greg Evans is coming. It was 2 seconds. Now it's down to 1.5.
This is going to be interesting to see if Jeffrey Hyatt can get up here in the top 5, as he's working on the back of Jason Heaney right now. You can tell he's really wheeling the car. He's trying to get everything he can out of those tires.
Yeah, and he knows.
I like the fact that there's extra sets to play with here. Depending on how the cautions fall, it could really benefit a driver in the long run.
Yeah,
but it could also benefit them in a short run. Say if a driver uses his tire allotment and someone actually has a set left. I mean, we've seen just with Jeffrey Hyatt what can happen if you have fresher tires than the rest of the field.
And it's not like they're a whole lot newer. We're talking about 14, 15 laps is the difference.
Yeah, right. You told me that. Yes, that's right. Good point.
It's not a huge difference, and he has carved through this field. Up to 7th now. He's past Jason Heaney. It wasn't all that long ago that Jason Heaney was 2nd. He's in the wall again coming off of turn 2. Jeffrey Hyatt, though, he's got his sights set on Nolan Milnes, and we're just going to follow the car of Jason Heaney because Greg Evans has decided that discretion is the better part of valor. He's backed off a little bit. Even lap times that last time through. If Evans gets close, we'll bring you that action. But Jeffrey Hyatt now pulls up on the back of Nolan Milnes for 6th. And I don't believe he's going to be there all that long, Sam.
No, of course not. But Nolan is not going to be an easy pass. I've noticed that a lot of these drivers have come off the bottom to run the middle lane or run one lane off of the bottom. Except off of 2. A lot of them are trying to chop 2 off just simply so that they don't hit that wall. But Jeffrey Hyatt's caught him with a big run there off of 2. And it looks like he'll be able to get underneath Nolan Milnes here and off turn 4. And it looks like he will get that position.
Yeah, so we're going to put Jeffrey Hyatt up to 6th place. He's got Sean Merriman up the road ahead. Merriman is about a second and a 10th ahead. Now, I do want to let you know that Jeffrey Hyatt was a 10th of a second quicker than Sean Merriman the last time through. Justin Kirby's going to check in from the peanut gallery, he says. And he says that he would be tempted to come in for 5-lap fresher tires under the right circumstance. I would have to agree with that. It would have to be a restart and then a sudden caution and no green flag laps, or just 1 or 2 to have me not come into the pit lane. I do want to say hello to Katie Green. Katie, your man is 6 laps down in 22nd. He had some trouble on the start but he's been clean and green since. He's made up a couple of laps. Donald Green runs along in 22nd. Do want to thank everybody out there who is watching the P1 Broadcasting presentation of the Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series for the American Motorsports Association. If you have not already done so, make sure you smash the like button on the video. Ring the bell to subscribe to the P1 Broadcasting Network. We've got caution. We've got trouble in the back. No caution. Michael Moquin. And who was he racing with? Hard contact. That is the 80 of Mark Owlett, who is a lap down. And Owlett is getting...
Did he hit the wall? Did Owlett hit the wall off the...
Well, he's staying high out of the way.
Same thing that happened to Caleb Jones. He makes contact. There is a little... just a bump there on the backstretch that can upset the car, and it will send you into the wall. But once you make contact with that wall, it can actually throw the car sideways on you if you're not careful.
Hard contact with.
We saw that same exact thing with Caleb Jones earlier.
Now he kept it going in the right direction, and so no caution. I do want to point out that Carl Long accident that I mentioned earlier is that's exactly what happened to Carl Long.
Yes, sir.
He got sideways, nosed into the backstretch fence. The only difference in that one is that Long got upside down. Thankfully, Mark Owlett remained right. He remained with the shiny side up. He's going to bring it to pit lane, get 4 fresh Goodyears, get back, as Paul Page would say, back in the fight. Jeffrey Hyatt is still closing down on Sean Merriman. He has cut that gap in half. And so he's got Merriman and Dilly Godnez right in front of him. We are unsure of when the stage is going to be. There was not published notes, and Kendall Paul not here this evening, and so we're not exactly sure when the stage break is going to be, or if there is going to be one. We would assume, Sam, that we're getting close.
Might be around lap 75. That would be the logical pick, but
yeah, 50 or 75, something like that.
I would think it'd be around 75. The next would be around 150, and that would give us a 100-lap run to the end.
It would indeed, but we're watching Jeffrey Hyatt. He's doing the logical thing. He's catching the car in front of him, Sam.
It's always the inclination is to do just that.
There it is. So
we've got a caution. There we go.
Yeah. So the question has been answered.
This is the stage break.
No, well, maybe not. Nolan Milnes hard into the wall with Jason Heaney along the back, and we'll go ahead and figure out what's happening here. So this is not the stage break, although it may end up.
No, Brian Sharp actually announced that this would be the stage break.
Yeah. So there you go. So we're gonna go 61-20. Nah, looks like a lot of net code there, Sam. There was about a basketball between the two cars, and they reacted like there was a basketball between them because they bounced hard, and a hard impact that is not net code for both Milnes.
I believe the damage is probably minimal to both cars.
Maybe so. It doesn't appear as though on my screen they took a ton of damage.
We see that Brian Sharp is still not back in the event. James Hodgson is back in the event, but he's 25 laps down, even after the impact that he had. Joshua Siegfried is 15 laps down, and he is still in the event as well.
Yeah, Brian Sharp is still showing up. We've got everybody on pit road. Sharp is still showing up with the meatball. So I would venture a guess.
He's on pit road though, right?
Yeah, he's on pit road. He's been in his box 21 minutes.
Pit road, yeah.
Yeah, he's been in box 21 minutes. I would hazard a guess, Sam, and say that Brian Sharp's damage is terminal. We do have...
I would think the same thing in that he's staying in the server for his administrative duties.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For certain, sure. We do have wholesale pit stops. It is a long pit lane here. And we actually do not have a pit exit camera as we do at most places. So there goes Kyle Heath. He's going to be followed off a pit road by Greg Evans.
Close race there between Ryan O'Donoghue and Dylan Godnez. And look who made it up the 5th spot here exiting pit road.
Yeah, that's Jeffrey Hyatt. Now he burned a set of tires to do it. But Jeffrey Hyatt is the black and gold car that is in the back of your picture. Godnez and O'Donoghue are going to have a dispute here over who is 3rd and who's 4th. But Jeffrey Hyatt came all the way from 27th.
Yeah, I remember you said
To
he was
fifth.
in
Yeah.
back of the field. Yeah.
Yeah, 27th to 5th. Bobby Taylor Oil Company on the side of that.
I love how he leveled out. I really appreciate and respect how he leveled out around 10th place, 10th, 11th place. He just kind of leveled out there, ran consistent lap times, and then allowed those tires to work him up to the top 5. So that's just smart driving on his part. He could have tried to burn them down, trying to make up spots early, but I have a lot of respect that he handled that differently.
Yeah, and that was the right thing to do. And had he not had, remember, he had a near accident in front of him. Had that not happened, we might very well have seen Jeffrey Hyatt make it up to third place. We are getting ready.
No question about that. Yeah,
because that cost him a couple of seconds. Just in that deal. We are getting ready to go back to green, though. A little bit of a blink out of Greg Evans. Barney has the green flag in his hand. He's got it in his hand, folks. The green flag is out. Racing is going to resume here at the Rock.
And if our fans are watching, you'll see that bright Hunter orange number 3 that worked its way up into.
Whoa, Greg Evans spins hard, impacting the inside wall. Donahue involved.
Oh, no. So uncharacteristic.
My goodness gracious.
So uncharacteristic. Oh, and then Ryan O'Donoghue got equally as loose, and now it's just started collecting cars after that.
Yes, it does. Here's Greg Evans just coming off of turn number 2. The car unloads. It turns him hard left, and he is going to wallop the inside wall. Ryan O'Donoghue does the same spin right behind him, and then they kiss. O'Donoghue goes back up into the field, and it is on from there. My goodness. Hard impact with the 57 of Brian Wasserman. O'Donoghue sliding. You've got the...
Oh, my heavens.
You've
Ryan
got the
O'Donoghue was just
35 of Corey Crandall.
There.
Let's go back, and we're going to get on the roll bar of Ryan O'Donoghue and just kind of show you what happens, because it is an equal thing that happened to both Evans and O'Donoghue. Mike Rigney checking in. He wants to know what's up with
cold tires. That's a really tough line. On cold tires, that's just a tough line to run.
Well, it hasn't rubbered in yet.
There.
It hasn't rubbered in yet,
Yeah.
right? And there's just not
exactly.
There's not a ton of grip.
And
there's
and again, you can see even on the roof cam how much movement are in these cars going through the corner.
Boom.
And coming with cold tires coming off of 2, the car gets incredibly light. So it's not unusual for the car to get out of shape at that particular point of the racetrack.
No,
once O'Donoghue makes contact with Evans, it just pushes his car right back up in front of the field, and they're just wrecking behind and all throughout back stretch there.
Yes, they are on board with the roof of Brian Wasserman. He sees it develop, and poor Brian. There's no way you can predict that those 2 cars are going to hit like that, and that the car of Ryan O'Donoghue is going to come right back up the racetrack. That's such an odd thing to happen right there. You would think that both of those cars would stay down in the inside as they normally do, but shot right back in front of the field, and just nowhere for Brian Wasserman to go. So a tough end for his day. We are under caution, 68 of 200.
So how do you collect on a bounty for Greg Evans if he makes a mistake himself?
Now that's a great question. We're gonna have to get a judge's ruling.
Yeah, we'll have to get an official to help us with that. But Greg Evans is actually he went into the pit area after he towed, and the crew chief handed him a gas voucher and said it's time to head home. So he is actually
indeed
put it into the garage and called it the night.
Yeah, same for O'Donoghue, same for Brian Wasserman, same for Paul French, all involved in that accident and in that action over there on the backstretch. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars out of the race. We've also got a green flag coming. Kyle Heath leads Dylan Godinez. Jeffrey Hyatt is now 3rd. Lee Campbell 4th. Trevor Benz rounds out your top 5. And look, Sam, Trevor Benz started this race from pit lane with a penalty.
That is exactly right. He had an EOL at the beginning of this race, and now he's running in 4th position. He has slowly and methodically made his way up here. He actually had a good qualifying speed. He qualified 7th for the event tonight. So we'll see what Trevor can do if he can continue to progress up to the front of this field.
Most certainly will. There is a battle brewing for the lead. I think Dylan Godinez wants it. He is going to charge on the inside right to the back bumper of the 13 of Kyle Heath, and here he comes. Ryan O'Donohue checks into the chat, simply says, monkey see, monkey do. And I think that definitely applies. Justin Kirby has said if it's a Dick Trickle style bounty, it goes to the next race he finishes. Mike Rigney has declared himself the official, and
says Greg gets his own bounty.
And says Greg gets his own bounty.
This track is for Justin, who's talking about the Dick Trickle thing. Dick Trickle has won so many short tracks and throughout the country that he constantly was. People were headhunting him everywhere he went. But the problem with that is that this track is a little bigger than those little quarter mile. Oh, and Godinez gets into the back bumper of Kyle Heath as we're speaking. I'm sorry to break that up. But this track's a little bigger than what Dick Trickle used to run and wear people out all over the United States.
Well, and so there used to be, back in Dick Trickle short track racing days in the 60s and 70s, there used to be, and Dylan Godinez has got the lead from Kyle Heath. I think Godinez is wanting to run a pace that Kyle Heath just says.
They're door to door for 5th place here.
Says it's too much. Yes, they are. And around goes Hyatt. Oh, he's going to get in contact with Benz. There's going to be caution on the speedway here in just a moment, I would think. But we had the camera live, and that's a tough break for a lot of our front runners. My goodness gracious, Sam.
I think Trevor just overdrove that entry there and got into the back of Hyatt, and then it was just bedlam after that.
Yeah, so there goes Jeffrey Hyatt.
After all that work, both drivers, Benz and Hyatt, both working their way up from the back of the field, and then to get up here and have this unfortunate mishap.
I think Lee Campbell's going to get away with it. He didn't hit anything all that hard. The big impacts are going to be around Edwin James, Sean Merriman, Braden Langley involved. Those cars took a hard hit. Braden Langley kept going.
Wall. Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah.
Carricker, I don't know if Carricker makes it through there. He might have got.
He knows where the brake pedal is. That was a great move by Heaney. He got the car stopped just in time before he broadsided Justin Osterman as he drove up in front of him.
Yeah, and look, I mean, shout out to Lee Campbell. He made it through there. Osterman makes it through there. Heaney standing on his brakes just avoids Osterman. But there are a lot of torn up race cars over here on the back. Mike Rigney has said that we ought to give the bounty to Ryan O'Donohue for finishing Greg Evans off, and so that is always a possibility. Meanwhile, caution back on the speedway, and now it's going to be an issue of attrition. We do have everybody from Trevor Benz on back on pit lane. Of course, they were all involved in that accident. Jeffrey Hyatt has the meatball. He must respect it. Brian Sharp still remains on pit lane, 58 laps in arrears. I don't believe that one's coming back. I think that the 125 is likely blowed up.
That's a good, right. I believe that's a good indicator that Brian Sharp's done for the evening as well. And now we see Jeffrey Hyatt has just checked out.
Yep.
Eric Corder has actually checked out as well.
Have indeed. We're going to come and take a look and see if we've got anybody that we can pull and talk to. Not a lot of people in Discord tonight. At least people that I don't want to disturb, guys. Jason Heaney has a black flag. We're getting ready to go back to green. Lee Campbell has affected repair to the 44. 39.
I'm knowing what Dylan Godinez's mindset is as hard as he was trying to get around Kyle Heath there at the beginning of the run. So,
well, there's two schools of thought, right? If you're Kyle Heath, why not drive quietly, drive smartly, save your stuff, right? You're anticipating long green flag runs.
Right. Clearly, you're so fast. Yeah.
Yeah. For Dylan Godinez, why not charge to the front and just anticipate there's going to be a caution or two, and hope you can keep that track position. Just 10, 15 laps caution, 10, 15 laps caution. We are back under green with 77 laps of 250 complete here in the Blackmagic Studios.
There's
Grand
so
National
much
Series.
racing still left. I mean, there really is a lot of racing left.
There is, but we're running out of cars, Sam. 15, 17, 18. There are 19 cars out of 27 starters still circulating. Some of those cars are multiple laps down. Donald Green at one point was 8 laps down. He is back to 5 laps in arrears. Trevor Benz is 1 lap down. He's the lucky dog. Jason Heaney is going to serve a penalty too fast on exit of the pit lane. And so there goes Heaney to serve his black flag. That'll put him a lap down, as Dylan Godinez will roar past. There he is. So move Heaney 1 lap back. The battle at the front rages, though. It might be a narrowed field, Sam, but the top 5 are all right together. Godinez, Heath, Klein. Justin Osterman has moved himself into 4th place. Mark Cofield runs 5th, but the top 4 right there together, Sam.
They are together. Now you have Justin Osterman who's decided to pull up here and get racy here up in the top 4 as well. And there's never a dull moment when that 53 is around.
There is not. You are exactly right, Sam.
As I speak, he goes to the outside of Joseph Klein here coming off of 2. That is really, really treacherous ground, as we saw with Greg Evans losing control of his car there in the same spot.
Now you saw Jason Heaney coming off a pit lane a second time. He was too fast. Exiting again, so he got the double drive through. Mark him now 3 laps down. Trevor Benz is 2 down. Heaney 3 down. Green 5 down. There's your order of lucky dog. Kyle Heath has moved it to the inside of Dylan Godinez, and they're going to go have a battle for the lead here. Godinez to the outside. We'll see if he can't hold him off.
Wow, that is so close.
No. Dylan Godinez gets so loose coming off that corner.
Oh,
Sam.
he's in the wall in the 1. He brushes the wall on entry. He's been doing that tonight on several occasions.
He has been driving like an absolute wild man. We'll go on board. This is what Dylan Godinez sees as he wrangles his 08 around the Rockingham Speedway. Look at his hand, Sam. Now,
There's a lot of movement. A lot of people would say, "Oh, that's not much movement." In a stock car, that's a lot more movement than you think.
It's a lot more movement than you want. This isn't 1987 with a rear steer Monte Carlo.
Oh, Osterman almost drives right in the door of Godinez, but he stops the car just enough in turn 3. He got on the binder so hard he lost 10 car lengths. But he avoided the wreck. I mean, honestly, he dove it in there so hard. And
yes,
now he's got Mark Cofield that's taking advantage of that situation.
Yeah, there he has. Cofield's gone by. Troy Carricker is also going to try to get underneath the 53 of Justin Osterman. Osterman fights back effectively on the outside, though. So Osterman is going to keep 5th, put Cofield to 4th. Troy Carricker is going to remain 6th. About a second behind this battle is Nolan Milnes in the Gatorade machine. He's got Lee Campbell in close attendance, as well as Edwin James and Michael Moquin. This is a pretty decent 4-car train, 7th through 10th. All of these cars at one point or another have had damage. I do want to point out that that is not Michael Moquin. That is the 9 of Jason Heaney. Heaney is 3 laps in arrears after dueling drive-through penalties, so he's going to be driving it hard.
Yeah, he's probably driving angry at this point.
Red mist, Sam, in the from behind the visor,
something like that.
Yeah, for certain, sure.
Greg Evans did contact me and to let me know that the car was just the tires being cold were just incredibly loose. The car was just so loose.
Nolan Milnes has disappeared. Sam, Nolan Milnes has disappeared. I don't want to...
He's left the server? He sure has.
He's
Oh, he's disconnected.
yeah, he's disconnected, and so he was
manually disconnected. Oh, he got loose off of turn 4.
yeah, and he alt F4 to avoid the caution. So Nolan Milnes out of the race. That was
That's
P7.
a mechanical issue. That's an equipment issue.
Yeah, where your wheel just locks
something
sideways
personal.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, he completely pulled the car down to the bottom of the racetrack and laid on the brake. So to me, that lets me know that there was some kind of either VR issue, mechanical issue, or something of that sort. He was just getting the car off the racetrack.
Yeah, and that's good. I mean, that's good sportsmanship too. When something like that happens, wheel locks up, VR goes blank, monitor goes blank, turn left, brake hard, alt F4 as soon as you can. That's going to keep it clean and green for everybody else. We are watching Joseph Klein lead Kyle Heath. So Joseph Klein, during all that ruckus, the number 7 Tide Ride went to the lead. He's got Kyle Heath right behind him in second, and then third lies Dylan Godnez. I got to believe that Godnez is already worn out the. I got to believe Godnez has already worn out the good years, because he is now 0.2 of a second slower than Kyle Heath. Klein has gone to the lead, but he is also slower than Kyle Heath, and so do want to keep you posted on that. We are down to 18 cars circulating on the racing surface. Well,
when you have drivers like Kyle Heath that are so fast and have the ability to save tire and be up front week in, week out, and you have an opportunity to race with people like that, a lot of times you will stick close to them to see how they run their line, where they're letting off, where they may be picking the throttle back up. You really want to stay close to them and see how they're doing it, and just go to school a little bit on these drivers that are incredibly fast. And what you learn is that you slowly begin to pick up on things that they may or may not be doing to save tire or to have the speed that they have. And so it's a teaching moment for drivers that may not be at that speed level that drivers like Kyle Heath or Greg Evans or some of the others may be. They may be fast, but they may not understand how to save the tire. And so this is a learning opportunity for drivers that can follow Kyle Heath and try to mimic the things that he does. Will it be effective? Only time will tell.
Well, there are visual cues, and so we're going to get on the roll hoop of Dylan Godnez, and I want the fans here to kind of focus on something. So Dylan Godnez, if you're wanting to learn from Greg Evans, or not Greg Evans, Kyle Heath, excuse me, rather. If you're wanting to learn from Kyle Heath, and I did this a lot last year in the Truck Series. You see if you're following him, and it's going to be even better if we get on the gyro cable. If you're following the guy in front of you and you're wanting to learn, one of the things that you can learn from is where he lifts, and there is a very visual thing that you know exactly when he's on, off, and playing with the throttle. And that is the flames that come out of the right side of that automobile in front of you. Yeah, you can tell when he's getting off the gas, and you can kind of measure yourself by that.
Well, it gives you a good indication what his braking point is or let-off point is. And then, of course, it is a little harder to see that exhaust flame when he picks the gas back up on exit. But entry is really important about saving the right front. Exit is important to saving the right rear.
It is, and that's what I was trying to get at. You can, if you're going to give me half the information, if I know what to look for, I'm halfway there, right? And so, my goodness, Dylan Godnez, that was a risky.
He did. He just chopped the nose of Langley right off there.
That was risky. My goodness gracious.
The car actually got a little unsettled when he did that. It was so abrupt.
My goodness. I don't know that I would want to do that if I was running second and had a chance to win the race. I don't think I would take the chance of a little net code issue there. I do want to point out we have 11 cars on the lead lap, and we'll cycle through them really quickly. Kyle Heath is the leader of the race in the number 13 Busch Ice machine. Familiar colors for him. Dylan Godnez is second. Mark Cofield runs along in third. There's Cofield, and he is in the Cofield Supply and Service. Number 97 Chevy Camaro. Troy Carricker is fourth. And there he is, the number 94. Braden Langley hard into the wall. Lurid slide there. But there's Troy Carricker. Sheffield Surveying on the side. Joseph Klein in the Tide Ride. That is, I believe that's going to be the Scott Pruitt version. Is it not, Sam?
Which car is that?
That would be Joseph Klein, the Tide.
The 7.
Yeah, the 7. I gotta think that's the.
That's actually the
or is that Ricky
Waltrip version?
Well, but not Super 8 Motels though. That's what's throwing me. I thought that was either Ricky Craven or Scott Pruitt. Anyway, Joseph Klein runs along in 5th. He has led the event. Justin Osterman in the 53. There he is in 6th. There's Justin Osterman. Edwin James in the 46 is mounting a challenge. First Gear Racing on the side of that street stock. There he is, 46th. And 7th, Lee Campbell. Goodyear Tire and Rubber, Warren Tire is.
You're exactly right. Ricky Craven's car. That was the Ricky Craven's ride.
I couldn't remember if it was Craven or Pruitt that had Super 8 on the side.
It was Craven. It was actually Ricky Craven.
There you go. Lee Campbell. He's got some scars on the front of his Mustang, but he runs along in 8th. Michael Moquin is 9th in the 8. And Corey Crandall is 10th. First Gear Racing track.
Oh, we have caution on the Speedway. Caution on the Speedway. And we have some cars wrecking on the back stretch here. Looks like Joshua Siegfried is involved again. Braden Langley is involved. It may have started with just ahead of Siegfried. Langley went up to the top of the racetrack and catches that turn 2 wall incredibly hard, comes down and catches Godwin and Siegfried, and they spin on the backstretch.
And that's just so unfortunate for the 46. We had just talked about what a day he was having. Joshua Siegfried has already had a tough day, as has Braden Langley. He's been involved in a couple, but that is hard contact for the 25 machine. Likewise, the 99. I don't think much in the way of pain for Edwin James there.
It's not too bad for Godwin. He didn't suffer really catastrophic damage here. There'll be some repairs to be done. But Braden Langley actually was just in a no man's land. He's way high on the racetrack, and he's trying to get speed and exit off of 2. But the only way you're going to stay from hitting that wall is getting completely out of the gas and just allow everyone to get by you. But you want to maintain some speed, and it's so
look at Sam
to do that.
Sam, look at how much we're going to go back. We're going to go back, and we're going to get in the car here with Braden Langley going through 1 and 2. Look at how much wheel he's got in that car as opposed to Dylan Godness. He is almost 45 degrees hard over, and the car will not turn. It wouldn't surprise me if the right front is completely gone on that thing after 30 laps, which is what he'd been out. Because Justin Osterman is there on the inside. He's got it hard over and just can't stop it.
But once you get up that high, like I said, the only way, I mean, you can see that he still has a considerable amount of throttle. He's at 6,500 RPM. He's still trying to throttle that thing off of 2 and maintain some speed. But when you're that high, you just have to get out of the throttle if you want to keep from hitting the wall. Yeah.
But that's if that's truly how much wheel input he's been using, it wouldn't surprise me a bit, Sam. If there just wasn't that much, if there just wasn't any right front left.
No grip whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because we're getting close to the end of this particular run for the second stage.
We are indeed. Do want to thank everybody who continues to tune this one in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video. Ring the bell, subscribe to the channel, be notified of all P1 Broadcasting events, including the AMA Grand National, Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series. We've got another one tomorrow night. That is the Archway Industrial Coatings Rockingham 200 for the trucks for the AMA. We are going to be off Saturday and Sunday. We have some pretty doggone big, as we go back to green, we've got some pretty doggone big, wheel spin big time out of both Dylan Godinez and Mark Cofield. Kyle Heath is going to race away, but Cofield is they're 3 wide for third.
Oh, and Cofield just misses the nose of Joseph Klein. Oh, and Osterman sticks it in there 3 wide as they come down the back stretch. As he gets in the inside of Carricker as well, so he'll make up 2 spots. But what a brave move that was.
Can we send Rigney or Kirby over there down to Walgreens for some Rolaids? My goodness gracious.
Well, you're in BC country right here.
Oh,
you're in
my
BC powder country.
Goodies. BC or
Goodies powder.
Yeah, goodies headache powder. Somebody in that 3 wide deal just about won the goodies headache powder, the goodies headache of the race award, which I'm pretty sure that award lived in the Petty garage in the early 90s. And specifically Kyle Petty here, for whatever reason, the Felix Sabates team in from about 1990 to 1993 had this joint figured out, Sam. Kyle Petty, if you recall, won the Unical bonus here for something like, he took him for what, $236,000 or something like that, wasn't it?
It was a big purse.
It was a big payday. It was actually more money than Derek Hope had won winning the Daytona 500 the week before, by a lot. So an overjoyed Felix Sabates bought his driver a brand new Rolls Royce for winning the Unical bonus, and then he came back in the fall race and dominated. He came back the spring race the next year with another huge Unical bonus, and the Unical bonus back in the day.
Carragher's into the door of Joseph Klein. They're side by side coming off of 2.
We're watching it now. Klein can't get off the wall.
Into the wall. He's in that precarious place, but he saves it.
Holy Moses.
A lot of racing going on right here. We may not have as big a field as we started with, but we've got just as an exciting field because these guys are not giving up on this race.
19 cars on the Speedway, 112 of 250 complete here at Rockingham in the Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series. But for a lot of the younger fans, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the Unical bonus was kind of a skins game back when that was popular. It was very uncommon until the 20-teens for a pole-sitting car in a NASCAR Winston Cup or Nextel Cup race. It was very uncommon for the pole winner to win the race. It was extremely uncommon. So uncommon, in fact, that the Unical company put up $7,600 in a skins game for the driver who could win the pole and win the race. And it would go sometimes years without being claimed in every race that they ran, and the pole winner didn't win the race. It rolled over for another $7,600. And it had been going for over a year when Kyle Petty claimed it. And then
and now we've got contact between Heaney and Carricker, and Carricker again saves the car. Joseph Klein gets into the back of Osterman, and he's out of shape on the back stretch. They're still touching him. Osterman saves it going into 3.
Do
these guys not realize there's 100 laps still to go? What in the world is going on?
Please, boys, there's 135 laps to go.
Carricker gets into Osterman again.
And they save it again.
What is happening here at Rockingham?
I have no idea. 94 Mullo checks in.
Now Michael Kirk is in the mix, and he's laps down. James Hodgson, who was in one of the earlier incidences, he has been so perseverant and sticking it out, and now he's made up like 9 spots by just sticking it out and staying in the event.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow, these guys are racing like it is the last 20 laps. Oh, and Campbell gets into Cofield on the backstretch. Oh, now there's just chatter. Now there's just chatter among the drivers, just wondering what is going on.
Oh my goodness gracious! I can't click the buttons to keep up fast enough, Sam. we've got word.
I love it.
We've got word from 94 Mullo. He says he quit to give Jason an extra position. His car was fixed and he had no issues, and so there we go. That's the story from Nolan Milnes. There are 132 laps to go. Now would not be my time to be beating on each other. There we go. Lee Campbell
clearly has tires.
Yeah,
Lee Campbell has probably got the freshest tires of anyone out there.
Well, he stopped under that last yellow, so 13 laps on his tires. Same for Michael Moquin. Both of those are lead lap cars. Corey Crandall, Edwin James, Sean Merriman. They are all on 13 lap old tires. We're going to pull that up just so that everybody can see it. Moquin now goes to the outside of Corey Crandall. And maybe that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the cars with the tires. They're getting antsy. They want to go, and they want to get ahead of the cars that don't have.
Ron Sharp has closed the pit lane, and so we're just a lap or so from our next stage.
Yeah, 120.
Lee Campbell he's utilized these tires to get up into the second position, and he's closed the gap on Kyle Heath by 0.8 of a second just that lap alone.
There's the Hornet's Nest. It's for 8th, 9th, and 10th. There is a lap car in the mix. That lap car is Sean Merriman. No, it's not. Who is the lap car there? 35? No. 46? No. Okay, those are all for position. 9th, 10th, and 11th, and this is for the last stage point. Edwin James and Corey Crandall get through. Merriman will not get the point. There's the caution for the stage break.
Now we have caution.
All right, Sam, we can breathe. We can breathe. JS Derby
Kudos to these drivers. Kudos that they're wanting to make it exciting.
Kyle Heath is going to be your stage winner. Lee Campbell second, Godness third, Mark Cofield fourth, Joseph Klein, Troy Carricker, Justin Osterman, Michael Moquin, Edwin James, Corey Crandall, your top 10. Sean Merriman, the only other car on the lead lap. His car is very visibly damaged in the front, though. Trevor Benz is going to get your lucky dog. Jason Heaney is 13th, 3 laps down. Donald Green, 14th, 5 laps down. Mark Allowette, 11 down. Braden Langley, 12 down. Joshua Siegfried has pulled it on the pit lane. And he says he's going to call it a night. James Hodgson, 24 laps in arrears. He continues to circulate, as does the 54 of Michael Kirk, 82 laps down. Brian Sharp, is still in the server, but Brian Sharp does still have a meatball almost an hour after a hard impact to both ends of his Ford Mustang. Sam, I feel like I need a breath here.
There's still a lot of things that are going on on the track. Lee Campbell came in with the leaders, but he made a very fast pit stop right there. So I don't know if he took tires on this particular stop. He's going to acquire the lead as Kyle Heath is still on the pit lane.
Yeah, he had
Trevor Benz was our lucky dog candidate, so that will put Trevor Benz back on the lead lap, and so we'll have 12 cars back on the lead lap as we go back to our green flag run here in just a few moments.
All of these cars now that you're seeing, the number 9 of Jason Heaney, the 25 of Braden Langley, these machines are going to take the wave around. 6 of Donald Green. So Green, move Donald Green back to 4 laps down. That would be a pretty
4 laps down.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty cool thing if he could. Be pretty cool.
That would be amazing if Donald could really get back on the lead lap.
It would.
Jason Heaney will take this wave around, and that will put him 1 lap down, and provided that he's not involved in the next caution by any means, then he would be the next lucky dog candidate based on laps down alone. But Jason Heaney and Donald Green will be fighting for positions after that.
Yeah, and Kyle Heath must have needed to avail himself of the facilities. 46 seconds in the box, and I don't think he had any.
That's about
damage.
right. That's what it was. That's what it was before.
That's what it was last week. So Kyle Heath has reset the driver, and he is ready to go here. We are also approaching halfway, Sam, and so we're going to go ahead and flip it over. 127 laps to go here at the Rock. Lee Campbell. Gas only. He leads Dylan Godnez. Now, he only had 13 laps on his tires, Sam, so we'll see how those hold up.
13 laps is going to be a big enough difference that the cars that have fresh tires behind him are going to blaze past him.
It will. Now, here's the thing. We know there's going to have to be at least one more.
And Oscar gets into the back of Carragher there, but no one hurt.
We know there's going to have
right in front of Kyle Heath. And Osterman is completely sideways. He's in the wall. He keeps it straight.
Still
Mark
going.
Cofield he almost loses it in turn 4 as well, but he keeps it straight.
So we're gonna go.
Opens the door for some of these other drivers.
We're gonna go back and show both. Mark Cofield got loose. He gets to the bottom. Justin Osterman is a completely different
Completely
situation.
sideways. He
Well,
hits the outside wall.
this is a completely different situation with Osterman and Troy Carricker. We're going to watch them get down into turn number 3. You've got Kyle Heath right behind him, and this is the last thing he wants to see. Osterman turns it sideways to the outside. You can see the black marks on the pavement hard into the wall. Heath sneaks by the 54. If Kirk goes by, Hodgson goes by, the field's streaming underneath the 53. He's going to hit it hard again. Thankfully, nobody else hits Osterman, but he took a walloping against that outside wall.
Lick. Yeah, it was a pretty good lick to the front of the car there, for sure.
He's got it.
And this is what Greg Evans was saying when he messaged me. He said that the car, on fresh tires, the car is extremely temperamental, and it's just subject to break loose on you if you're not careful. And so even someone like Greg Evans and some of these other drivers are finding that out the hard way tonight.
You know, something that's worth mentioning. Lee Campbell's made 4 pit stops today, and so I know one of those was to repair some damage, but he may only have 1 set of tires left. Sam, he's been involved in some.
But he only needs 1 set if this last stint goes green.
Yes, he does. You're right. He only needs 1 set.
He can run 50 laps in this stint, or 50 or 60 laps he can run. Now he's going to lose an incredible amount of time, or he could pit early, somewhere around lap 160, 170. He could pit a little early and try to make up time, and see if those cars that stay on the racetrack, as they burn their rubber down, if he stays out on the racetrack and makes up time on fresh tires, if they have the time to catch him, if he short stops. So there's some strategy that is playing out here, and Lee Campbell could be in the middle of it.
Yeah, and don't count him out. You've also got, a caution can save that, but there are a number of cars that are maybe at their tire limit. Michael Moquin, Corey Crandall, Trevor Benz, Sean Merriman, Jason Heaney, Edwin James. All of those cars have made 4 or more pit stops along with Lee Campbell. And so it does come into play. How many sets do you got left in the pit lane? For some of those guys, they may be down to their final set. Back to the leaders. Troy Carricker in 3rd has a rear view mirror full of Kyle Heath. Cue the Jaws music, because I don't think that this is going to be too awful long before a refreshed and relieved Kyle Heath gets through Troy Carricker and moves into 3rd.
I would like that car to go over the scales after the race. We're going to need him to go over the scales. Another thing that here's another thing that people may not realize with iRacing and the hobby that we do is that when you have a race with multiple cautions and you're pitting multiple times, whether to repair damage or whatever the reason is that you might be pitting, some drivers will initiate an I&I file in iRacing that will uncheck repairs, or they will turn off tires, or they may they can when they go into the pits, they can uncheck a box if they don't want to change tires. But sometimes what happens is you get so caught up in what's happening, or you may be damaged and you're focusing on getting the car fixed, that you forget that you have those boxes checked and you don't want to change tires. But when you hit the pit stall, the pit crew is out there immediately with tires, and you may make the mistake of changing tires and you've only used 14 laps on a set of tires, and you don't get scuffs back. So these cars that have made multiple pit stops, they could have run into that very problem where they didn't want to change tires, but they did change tires because they forgot to omit that from the pit stop information to the crew chief.
Yeah, and there's you can do that through the black box as well. There's all sorts of different ways to do it. Voice commands through crew chief. Watching Troy Carricker, he's chasing down Joseph Klein. Meanwhile, Heath is all over the back of Dylan Godnez. He's made it through to fourth, past Edwin James, and so Godin is the next man up. Troy Carricker decided he was not going to be passed by Kyle Heath, so he stood in the gas, went up and chased down the leader. Probably not the best move for his tires, but I digress. Look at that huge run that Kyle Heath gets into the corner. My goodness gracious, on Dylan Godinez.
Dylan is all night. Dylan has run different lines. He's trying everything on the racetrack. There's not 10 feet of the asphalt that he's not giving a go to see how fast his car will go. High line, low line, vomiting the corner, top, high entry, low exit. Dylan Godinez is getting every ounce of a race that he can out of that 08 tonight.
He most certainly is. At the end of the day, though, not completely effective. Dylan Godinez is passed by Kyle Heath, and now Heath is going to set...
Michael Kirk has lost connection to the server.
Well, that's no fun. So we are now down to 16 cars on the racing
Michael Kirk
surface.
is on the lead lap.
Michael Kirk?
Oh, no, he was not on the lead lap.
I was going to say Michael Kirk is 26, 91 laps down.
I was thinking of Michael Moquin.
Yeah, no, Michael Moquin is alive and well, Sam. He's in 8th place. There's Michael running along right behind James Hodgson. Hodgson, 24 laps down. He was involved in an earlier mess, not of his own making. The forward-facing 88 on the roof. He's managed to continue on. He's soldiered on.
The Donald Green is trying to get out of the way, and he's up in the wall. He's able to keep the car straight. Great driving there by Donald Green.
There he is. Donald Green runs along 13th. He is back to 5 laps down. But give a call down to Donald Green, James Hodgson. These guys have persevered. They were both involved in early items. Donald Green, and there he is. He's in the wall again hard. My goodness gracious. He was involved in something at the start. He was 7 or 8 laps down to begin this race. But he's fighting an automobile hard right at the moment. And just like we saw with Braden Langley, he is using a ton of steering wheel caution on the Speedway.
We got caution on the Speedway. And we have the 9 of Jason Heaney and Braden Langley in turn 3. And again, it looks like they are so close.
Well,
and Braden gets into the wall, but Heaney does not give him a lot of room for forgiveness there.
No, and
so they just meet in the middle.
And these are cars. Jason Heaney 3 laps down. That was a pair of speeding tickets for Heaney. Braden Langley is 13 laps off the pace. He pounds the outside wall, comes down. They're racing hard down the backstretch, and he gets along those bumps like you've talked about several times, Sam, and just comes down into the side of the 9. They turn each other loose, and the fun.
Look at the impact that Braden Langley has when he catches. There's no safer barrier on the backstretch, but once you get into turn 3, the safer barrier kind of jettisons out a little bit. And when he gets to that barrier, look at how hard Braden Langley hits that barrier when he gets into 3.
Yeah, here we go. So we're going to get on the roof cam. Well, actually,
it's miserable hard.
Yeah, he's going to turn hard. He's going to impact right after the crossover gate. Bam! But not quite to the safer barrier. And it is going to be night done.
That's the place right there where they cross over into the track. The haulers come in through that way.
Yeah.
Man, you see the black smoke immediately after he hits that wall.
Yeah, watch the gauges, Sam. If you ever want to see what a driver sees when the motor goes boom in one of these cars, watch Braden Langley's tack here. Hits it
right here in the middle.
And
I knew the impact was hard. You can see how much speed he loses when he hits the wall.
Yeah, and then when you see
the tack just drops out.
Yeah, when
completely
you see,
right there.
Yeah, when you see the tack at 0, that means blowed up. And Braden Langley has exited.
Done blowed up.
Done blowed up. David, in honor of David Hobbs.
Now, if you have 2 sets of tires left, Now, in my opinion, is the time to gamble.
Well, Lee Campbell, Kyle Heath, Sean Merriman, Trevor Benz, Michael Moquin, Corey Crandall, Jason Heaney have all, well, Heaney for obvious reasons has been on the pit lane. Donald Green has come and taken a set of tires.
Yes, sir. This is the time. This is a good window to gamble. There's right at 100 laps left in the event. You can push 50 laps a lot harder than you can 60 or 70 laps. And so that if you took fresh tires on both of the stage breaks and you still had 2 sets of tires left,
Now's a good time to get one.
Yeah, this would be the perfect opportunity to do that.
Well, and here's the other thing. You could maybe make it on gas, but you're going to be so slow it's not going to be worth it.
Oh yeah, no. The time you would lose would be astronomical.
Yep. Now the cars in front here, Klein, Godness, Carricker, Cofield, and James, they did not stop. So the first car on tires, that's going to be Kyle Heath. We're going to put the camera on Kyle Heath and just watch how quickly he and Lee Campbell carve through these front 5. There goes Heath. He's already at the bottom of Edwin James. Lee Campbell.
If I'm Lee Campbell, I just carefully follow Kyle Heath and not overdrive the car. I would just carefully follow him, pick and choose my passes, save as much tire as I can, and try to keep a reasonable pace with Kyle Heath here. I wouldn't be wanting to pass him or to prove myself. I would just want to save as much tire as I can.
Yep.
And then in the last 10 laps of this run, I would push it and then maybe pit with 50 or 40 laps left.
Yeah. The guys in front, maybe they have tires, maybe they don't. But the gamble for them is we're going to see another caution. Here's the problem with that strategy. There are only 16 cars. I take that back. There are only 15 cars left running on the Speedway.
Wow.
Braden Langley is on pit road, and I don't think we're going to see Langley, based on that impact, back on the racetrack. Kyle Heath, Lee Cofield, or Mark Cofield, rather. My goodness. Contact, and Lee Campbell sneaks through. So put Heath and Campbell into 4th and 5th. Edwin James is now 7th behind Mark Cofield, who runs 6th. The 9 of Jason Heaney is involved in this, but Jason Heaney, Sam, he is 3 laps in arrears, and so no factor in the battles for position. But Jason Heaney is now the lucky dog, and is now the lucky dog hole. And Jason Heaney is the only car 3 laps down. Nobody 1 or 2 down. He's 3 laps down. Donald Green is 5 laps down.
So he would, provided he's not involved in any incident at the caution, then he would definitely get the lucky dog.
Right. But here's what I was going to say with that strategy as we watch Kyle Heath. Joseph Klein's the leader. Dylan Godden is 2nd. Troy Carricker 3rd. They are on 30-lap old rubber. Kyle Heath and Lee Campbell that we're watching, they have 7 laps on their tires, and here they come. Lee Campbell is, I think, taking your advice, Sam. He pulled right up to the back of Kyle Heath, and he stopped.
Yeah, I would just absolutely grab a hold of the trailer hitch and just go to school and just follow Kyle right to wherever he's going. I know that I've got fresh tires, and just pace myself with him. I would take it really easy just so that I could save enough tire at the last part of how I'm going to run this run, and then push it a little bit to maintain speed with Kyle Heath. That would be my approach if I was in this race.
We do have a battle for the lead.
Now he's on the outside of Kyle Heath.
Well, he couldn't slow up. He couldn't check up in time. We do have a battle for the lead. Dylan Godness has gone past Joseph Klein, so moved Dylan Godness to the lead. Klein back to 2nd, Carricker 3rd. Meanwhile, the fresh tires have arrived at the lead group. Lee Campbell wants to go to that outside of Kyle Heath.
He meets the wall.
Yeah, but you don't want to pound the fence. A little bit of a blink out of Troy Carricker, and you got to think that that's just Kyle Heath's going, please don't glitch out in front of me. Please don't. Please don't. No, none of that.
We have seen Carricker blink a couple times tonight, so
and
I'm sure that's the inner Kyle Heath's mind.
And he has snapped right back, and it's not done anything weird.
Oh, yeah, there's no warping. He just blinked out.
Yeah, and that can be, that's not a
whoa,
with a contact! Joseph Klein, and he's hard in the wall!
All right, man.
And now we're under caution. Caution that some of these drivers are waiting on now.
There's Carricker. He slides up the road into the side of Joseph Klein, and Kyle Heath, nowhere to go. He hits it hard. into the wall. Although I think he's going to be forgiven most of that damage, but he's certainly going to have to bring that 13 in for repair. Here's the impact. We're going to see it for Kyle Heath. There's the contact between the 94 and the 7. That's Carricker on the bottom, Joseph Klein in the middle, and the other part of that sandwich, Kyle Heath. So he's going to have damage to the left side, left front, and he's going to have pancaked the right side, but I don't think the 13 is going to be severely damaged. As long as he doesn't have wheel damage, he's going to be just fine. Here he is.
Wall completely square. I don't see where he would have too much damage. If anything, he would probably have more damage to the left front.
Yeah, and
than he would to the right side of the car.
And if I were Kyle Heath, I wouldn't even take tires here. Just fix the damage.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, you've got
now Dylan Godinez, and whoever was running up front there with Dylan Godinez. I'm sorry, Troy Carragher. Those cars, as well as Mark Cofield, who did not take tires on that stop. Joseph Klein, they will take tires.
They most certainly will.
And Kyle Heath is staying in the pit lane so that he can get all those repairs. I would guarantee that it's all optional repairs. So he's going to stay in there and get all those repairs done. I'm sure that the crew chief probably made the comment of, "We can fix it. We can fix it all right here."
Yeah, he's been in there 43 seconds now. He wants to. He's going to want to get away from the pit lane, Sam, because the pace car is coming. 52 seconds.
And just as you say that, he drives away.
Yeah, 52 seconds in the box. Let's have a look. The left front of the number 13 Chevy Camaro looks a lot better than it did 52 seconds ago.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I think he's going to be okay. There are no more scratches, scuffs, or dents in the side of the thing. So good work from his.
And I don't think he didn't take any tires there. It was all repairs.
Yeah, he did not go up on the jacks at all. So we know that Kyle Heath has one more set. The problem.
The way these drivers are driving the last of this race, Kyle Heath is probably going to feel like he's driving through a minefield.
It's not
careful.
Yeah, Jason Heaney, by the way, gets one of his laps back, so he's now 2 down. Donald Green remains 5 down. Mark Alouette 11 down in 14th. Hodson is 24 down in 15th. Braden Langley is on the pit lane. 15 cars remain on the speedway. Here we go, back to green one more time.
Does not get a good start at all.
No, and that makes you wonder, did they have any tires left to take, or was that gas only?
That's a great question.
Are they saving that set and they're just coming to get gas so that they don't have to take any when they stop? Because theoretically, you could make it on fuel from here, right, Sam?
You would be very close on fuel. You would be very close. The window is 85 to 90 on the big end. So you would be very, very close whether or not you could make it on fuel from here on.
Right. So Lee Campbell has the lead, and he has stretched it out over Dylan Godinez. And that tells me, based on the way that Godinez, Carricker, Cofield, et al. Restarted, they do not have fresh tires. Because theoretically, not theoretically, Lee Campbell, if they had fresh tires, would be a sitting duck.
Well, Lee has decided that he doesn't want to race anyone, and he's checking out.
He most certainly is. We're going to go back where the action is. That's Kyle Heath. He runs along in 8th. He's got past Corey Crandall, Sean Merriman, Trevor Benz, who are the remaining cars on the lead lap. Kyle Heath runs it along in 8th spot. We've got a car coming to the pit lane. That, I believe, is Donald Green. And he may be calling it. Did he have contact over here? Let's see what's happened with Donald Green.
Well, there was some talk about going 3 wide on the at some point. It must have cost him some positions.
Well, there he is. He's going through turn.
Corey Crandall gets on the inside of him on the entry in 3 and 4, but they're not 3 wide.
No, and then there's contact.
But he does get into his door, and that sends Donald Green into the wall.
And that's a hard lick.
That's what it is. Yeah.
That's a hard lick evasive action from Trevor Benz, and I think Donald Green is bringing the 6 to the pit lane for further repair.
He hit the wall hard enough it knocked the hood up of the car. So,
well, it knocked the meatball flag into his peripheral vision. Yeah, so you must respect the meatball. And he says his night is done. So a tough end to the night for Donald Green, but we do want to commend him for his perseverance because it was a rough start to this one. Donald Green is.
Oh, it was a rough start, and for him to stick it out as long as he did.
Yeah, he's going to wind up being credited with 15th rather than 28th, and so he could have quit 2 hours ago and did not. So, kudos to Donald Green for sticking this baby out. Meanwhile, we've got 85 laps to go. We're watching Troy Carricker and Dylan Godinez. Lee Campbell, 8.5 of a second up the road. The battle is for second. Kyle Heath has made it to 6th. He is closing down on Michael Moquin for that 5th spot. We'll check in with that, and then we'll catch back up to the front 3. Carricker, Godinez, and Cofield. You keep an eye on them, Sam. We're going to keep an eye on the battle with Kyle Heath. And I got to wonder, is that 13 healthy? I mean, did he get it all fixed?
Well, I think we both noticed that the car was actually straight. There wasn't a lot of dents or anything. It looked like the crew did a great job of getting some of the damage taken care of while he was in the pit lane. And 52 seconds would be about right for optional damage, and considering how he just flat-sided the right side of the car up against the wall. And like I said, the front left would be probably the most detrimental place that he received damage, and it looked really good on the car. So I think even if it's damaged a little bit, I think Kyle Heath's a good enough driver that he can make the most of what the car's doing.
Now, I want to point out something to everybody. We've been inside Braden Langley, Donald Green, some of these other guys. Here's a teachable moment. We saw the hands for Braden Langley, for example, all the way down 45 degrees. The orange line in the steering wheel, that straight up means straight. We saw that line all the way down at the bottom of the screen, right, which means they had 45 degrees or more of steering input in the wheel. Watch Kyle Heath's hands. He is not going any more than about 20 degrees. So he's not, and there's not a lot of sawing on it. You can hear the car lift off right here. He's dragging the rear brake a little bit, getting it settled down, and he's not accelerating until he's got bite, and he's coming off the corner low, nowhere near the fence. There you go. And so just, if you're one of those guys that's out of the race, you're watching the broadcast right now, kind of take a look at this and note.
Yeah, those are all things that you want to watch and pay close attention to. More steering wheel input means you're abusing that right front, and then you're able to save your right rear based on your throttle control. And of course, we can't see throttle input from this particular view, but that's how you save the right rear.
Well, we can on the telemetry on the broadcast. So I have his inputs up. He's running along 25. He's running along last lap 25.398, which is right at the same speed as the leader.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's a digital. It's digital. It's not analog.
Yes, sir. No, you're right.
You can see it. Meanwhile, we've got a battle up front.
A battle up front.
Mark Cofield is taking the lead. Dylan Godinez has gone to second.
I was wondering if Lee was pushing a little hard on that start.
Yeah, he's started to. I believe he's burned the good off the Goodyear. He's 28 laps into the tire run. The other guy's 16. Now, the question is, do they have any tires left? And so, again, this is something that always plays here at Rockingham is the tire situation. And we're going to get the pit stop count up. Mark Cofield's made 4, Dylan Godinez 3, Carricker 3, Campbell 5.
Well, Dylan Godinez has only made 3 stops. He has a set left.
Yeah, so does Troy Carricker. So they've saved a set. We know that Kyle Heath has a set because he didn't take him on his 4th stop.
That's true.
Does Lee Campbell have any tires left? He's made 5 pit stops. Or, did he save a set at any point?
Right.
Because
right.
we know that he took a set when everybody else didn't. So does he have any left?
Trevor Benz on the apron there in 3 and 4.
Benz is going to get out of the way and get it safely to the pit lane.
Trevor is actually showing 1 lap down now.
He is indeed. We're going to get back to the battle at the front. Kyle Heath is now 5th. He has made his way past Michael Moquin, but Heath now, he is 6 seconds almost in arrears.
It could be one of those instances where Kyle thinks, he may be thinking to himself that he can save enough fuel to go to the end. Plus, he knows he's got tires in the bank.
Well,
there's another caution. He's got tires.
He can't,
Oh, the leaders are catching lap traffic.
Mark,
so close. It checks up the leaders. Mark Cofield has to really get on the binders behind Corey Crandall, and that allows Dylan Godness to really close in on his rear bumper, and Godness gets dangerously close in 1 and 2, and Troy Carragher's got the best seat in the house to watch this unfold.
Yes, he does. Mark Alouette is the 80, Corey Crandall the 35, that are the lappers that are involved. They got the leaders checked up. At one point, it looked like we were back at the start of this race. Troy Carragher pounds the exit wall at turn number 4, and that's really going to hurt his momentum. Carragher, my goodness gracious, it was just at the, watch this, Sam, it was just at the exit of turn number 4. Troy Carragher is coming off of there, and we're going to get on the roll bar. Watch this, fans. Troy Carragher, underneath the old school scoreboard, he blanks out. He's going to come back. He's going to pick up the throttle just a hair too early, and bam, and that's a shot. I mean, it moved that car back 2 lanes down the racetrack.
It is significant sometimes when you make impact with that wall.
My goodness. And you can tell it if you look at the right side of that car. It is all pancaked in, but he's going to keep right on trucking this. Sean Merriman, his outside. Merriman has just gone a lap down. There is the battle now for the lead. Dylan Godness is working on Mark Cofield. Carragher has pulled back up on the tail of Dylan Godness. We're going to have a 3-way fight for the lead. This may turn out, with 69 laps to go, Sam, to be a pretty doggone good race all the way to the end.
Oh, well, these front-running cars have proved that they're not here to lose. They all have a hunger to win these races. And with Kyle Heath reciting back almost 10 seconds now, they're really pushing the envelope in the late stages of this race, and they're putting on quite a show here. These three front runners, especially.
Yeah, there you go.
It's only going to be a matter of time before Lee Campbell falls into the grip of Kyle Heath as well.
Yeah, Heath has chopped over a second off of that advantage. Just staying with the battle for the lead.
Oh, Carragher has blinked out again, but
yeah,
he's back quickly and looks inside of Godness. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Dylan Godness, he's been running that front all night. He's been very pointed and pushing the car and testing the limits of the car and the track tonight. But Dylan's actually had some really tough breaks over the past races, and so it just may be in his mindset that he's going to get the best finish that he can possibly get in this event tonight. Mark Cofield is now starting to pull away from the field. He's starting to pull away from the second place car of Dylan Godness and Troy Carragher as they're working diligently and fighting for this second spot. Godness is not going to give it up freely. Carragher is hungry for it. It's something to think about too here in the late stages of this race, that if these drivers that have a set of tires left, if they cannot make it on fuel, and I seriously question the ability to make it on fuel, but anything is possible. And we may be seeing Kyle Heath saving fuel just simply for that reason. But if they decide to split this run up, then you're looking at pit stops somewhere around the 200 lap mark or the 210 lap mark, and drivers will come in and get that last set of tires and really push it for the finish of this race. Or if you're a car that is on the lead lap and you're running, say, like Cal Heath or Michael Moquin, that you're running back there and trying to save tire and save fuel, then you may be waiting for a caution. But looking at the lap times, we're slowly starting to see where Kyle Heath is starting to make up a little bit of time on the leaders, and Lee Campbell is about to fall victim to Kyle Heath as he catches him.
Yeah, Kyle Heath's been reeling in Lee Campbell 2-3 a lap very consistently. Lee Campbell was leading this thing not more than 25 laps ago, and he's burned up the good on the Goodyears. And that man right there, Kyle Heath, has slowly been working his way forward. Heath is also now the fastest car on the racetrack. Last time through.
Yeah, I noticed he had fell back about over 10 seconds, but now I've noticed that the lap times are 4 to 5 tenths faster than the leaders.
Yeah, last time through, Kyle Heath 25.735. Leader Mark Cofield 25. Last time through, Cofield was in the 26s. Same with Godnez. They turned up the wick. Troy Character 26.409. Last time through, Lee Campbell 26.361. So Kyle Heath has definitely been nursing the tires early. He started to come back late. We know he's got one set left. The only question is now, when do you make that final stop? Do you split it in half, Sam? You want to go as long as you can? Who's going to be the first guy that comes in? And when we see the first guy come in, it's not going to be long before everybody else makes the stop.
Yeah, one guy is going to dictate to all the other drivers what's going to happen afterward. It's just a matter of who's just going to jump down pit lane first. And that's what I was discussing earlier, just trying to think of who, if you are going to split this run up, we're going to be getting close to that here around lap 200 to 210, just to see which drivers that may take that strategy. If you notice how quick that Kyle Heath has got in the latter part of this run, he is easily the fastest car on the racetrack right now, and he can close that gap up quickly. So with 50 laps to go, do you come in, get fresh tires, push those tires as hard as you can push, and not allow Kyle Heath to make up that ground, or another driver that would want to stay out hoping to catch a caution and get fresher tires for a late caution? So there is a lot of things to play out. Mark Cofield is actually backing up to Dylan Godnez here as we're getting a battle for the lead now.
He has. Dylan Godnez was a couple of tenths quicker that time through. And I wonder if it's just Cofield saying, look, I'm comfortable enough just running whatever pace it takes for me to lead this sucker. Meanwhile, Kyle Heath is now chopped it to 7.5 seconds. So he's picked up a full 2.5. He is 4 tenths quicker that last time through. And I got to wonder, Joseph Klein sets the fastest lap of the race, by the way. Joseph Klein has just been on pit lane to get his last set. Same with Edwin James. So those cars have blinked. They've stopped, but they're 2 laps down. They were both a lap down before they came to pit lane. So no threat to the leaders. I'll tell you what I would think, Sam, and having raced these guys in the past, I'll tell you what I would be thinking if I was Cofield, Godnez, or Carricker. I would wait until I saw the 13 on pit lane, and then I would immediately cover him. If he stops now, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to stop the next lap. If he stops with 30 to go, I'm going to stop with 29 to go. We've got another car on pit lane. That's going to be Corey Crandall.
Corey Crandall.
Yep, he's going to pit from 8th. But no matter what, it doesn't matter what anybody else does. If I'm P1, 2, or 3, I am not going to stop until 1 lap after the 13. He's back there. He's coming. right? He's got it under 7 seconds. He's never going to make all of that up. Even with 50 laps to go at a tenth a lap, he's still going to fall a second or two short.
It's going to be interesting to see if he can maintain that closing speed on the leaders as they're getting more and more wear on these particular tires. The closer he gets,
well, he's on older. Well, the thing is,
you put
here comes
yourself in
Cofield.
jeopardy.
Here comes Cofield.
Also, he's going to be the first taker.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. They have fresher tires than he does. Remember, Kyle Heath
And
shows
here we are at lap 200. That's where I thought that we would start seeing the leaders coming in at around lap 200.
And immediately Kyle Heath answers. So that's the thing. He's 6 seconds behind him, 7 seconds behind him. Okay, well, you're stopping, I'm stopping. And
if you're Carragher and you're carrying Godinez, you do not hesitate.
No.
At all.
No.
This is where you come in.
Yeah, you've got to come in, and they're not. They're going to stay out one more time. So Kyle Heath and Mark Cofield have stopped. They are the leaders. Lee Campbell, Michael Moquin now on pit lane. So the main protagonists in this lead lap, half the protagonists have stopped. The other half have not. Godinez and Carragher one more time, and I think Carragher is going to be coming this time. Is he? No, they're going to stay out one more, and every lap they stay out. Kyle Heath is sped on pit road.
Oh no! A penalty for Kyle Heath.
Black flag for Kyle Heath. Speed too fast on exit. And there he goes.
He's in the wall.
He's in the wall.
He's spinning out. He's spinning out on turn 4. He saves it. I'm sorry. Yes, he's in turn 4, and he spins the car out.
That has got to be pure frustration for the driver of the 13 who has run so well tonight. Kyle Heath speeds on pit road. He's led 108 of 202 laps, Sam, and his chances at a win just evaporated.
Well, now we see that Godinez and Carragher are still out on the racetrack, and Mark Cofield, in the meantime, is building a big deficit.
Last time,
but he's building up time to get ahead of these cars because they were all nose to tail when he pitted.
They were. Last time through, Mark Cofield 24.661. This man, your leader, Dylan Godinez, 26.521.
Wow.
2 seconds.
2
seconds a lap.
And the further back you get, you start running out of laps to make up that time.
You do. Now you are going to have
because you're pushing the car so hard you use more tire. So it's really it's interesting that they've stayed out this long.
Well, they
could be hoping for a caution.
They could.
And they almost got it with Kyle Heath.
Yeah, they did. Now think about it. Godinez and Carragher are the only two cars on the lead lap. We're going to, instead of the interval, we're going to show the last lap time because that's going to tell the story. On the scoreboard, 1.8 seconds is the difference. When Carragher blinks, by the way, it only shows his lap time from the blink, and so that's why it looks like that. They are going to put a lap on the... They're going to put a lap on the 46 of Edwin James. He's going to go down.
Actually, Godwin is actually catching them. He's on fresh tires. The 46 of Godwin.
Edwin James, you mean?
Edwin James. I'm sorry.
Edwin James. No worries. I couldn't read my handwriting, my own handwriting, Sam, which kind of stinks because it's a computer readout. In comes Troy Carragher, so he's given up the ghost. Carragher is going to come to the pit lane. And that leaves Dylan Godinez as the only car that has not yet stopped. Now, if you're looking at it from this perspective, the 97, the 08 of Dylan Godinez exiting turns 3 and 4. The 97 is just now at the start-finish line now. So he's about a third of a lap from unlapping himself. Kyle Heath sets the purple lap. But a huge advantage is being built by Mark Cofield right now. As long as Dylan Godinez stays out and there's no caution. If there's a caution, Dylan Godinez is going to be the happiest.
He's staying out this long.
Well, at this point, you have to think he's playing for a caution. He's just saying, look, I'm going to stay out until, Mark Cofield passes me, and then I'll come in, right? Because then it'll be, then I'll be down. He'll be down, the third of a lap. But the tire advantage will then flip. God knows will be the rocket ship. And the shorter distance you have to go on that final set, Sam.
But he may not have the laps. He may not have enough laps to make up that time differential.
And that's true, too. I'm giving you the thought.
There's just so many, different variations of how things can play out.
The differential is now 1.3 seconds. So the tires are starting to equalize. And no matter what, Sam, it's going to be fun to watch.
We could very well see where Mark Cofield is the fox, and he sees a rabbit, and he could be pushing the car pretty hard. So he could be wearing his tires out a little bit more than he normally would on a longer run. But you can do that when it's only 50 laps to go. You're going to get half the laps on a set of tires, and so you may push the car a little bit harder in order to do that.
I'll tell you who's pushing it hard. The man in 10th.
4 laps down.
4 laps down. I don't think Madder than a wet Hornet is going to cover it. He was 24-4.
He's getting ready to be 3 laps down as he catches the leader.
Yeah, he's not going to be 4 down much longer. Here goes the 13. He is going to drive right underneath the 0.8 of Dylan Godinez. Move Kyle Heath back to 3 laps down. He's still in 10th, but that puts him on the same lap as Corey Crandall, so there's still another spot for him to gain. Meanwhile, Joseph Klein has made it past Michael Moquin. Edwin James has dropped to 8th. There is the battle there. We're still focused on Dylan Godinez. When is he going to bring the 0.8 to the pit lane? If you want to follow more of this action, make sure you smash the like button, grab the subscribe on the video, so that you can be informed of all quality P1 broadcasting efforts. You were saying, Sam, I apologize.
I was saying that Mark Cofield has actually put himself back on the lead lap now that he's passes Dylan Godinez.
Yep, there he goes.
The laps just keep disappearing here.
There he goes.
Now we see Dylan Godinez coming in with 35 laps to go.
Yep. So Dylan Godinez is going to come to the pit lane, and we'll follow the interval. Here's Mark Cofield. Godinez has not yet made it to his pit box. He may actually go a lap down out of this, Sam.
It's very possible because you've got Mark Cofield out there turning hot laps for 15 laps, and the differential was as much as 2 seconds a lap at some point. Now that did it did decrease over time to about a half a second, but still, that's so much time.
It did
in 15 laps, and you can only hope that you're going to be able to make that kind of ground in 35 laps.
Godinez is down and
really
away
to make it up,
and is off a pit road, so he did not go the lap down. Dylan Godinez has rejoined the action. He is 4th. He is back on the Speedway, but he is on the same straightaway as Mark Cofield. And now we're going to see the laps go the other way. So Mark Cofield last time 25-1, and
he's an entire half a lap behind.
Oh, it's more than half a lap. I think it's more like 3/4. Let me pull the handy track map up.
He's just now on the back stretch.
So Dylan
Cofield's already actually in 2.
Yeah, so Dylan Godinez has a straightaway and half a turn. It's not quite half a lap. It's a little bit less than that.
Right. And where does that put Carragher in the middle of all this? Because he actually pitted between these two drivers, and Carragher also would be a factor in the middle of all this as well, as he's trying to make up ground.
Now we thought Kyle Heath was driving fast.
He's our second place car. He's our second place car.
Now we thought that Kyle Heath was driving fast. Dylan Godinez just laid down a 24.296. So he is coming. There's Troy Carragher. He is 7.3 seconds behind Mark Cofield. He stayed out an extra 8 laps. Lee Campbell stopped 1 lap before. That's pulled him back up into 3rd. And then you've got to go another. He's 9.7, and then there's Dylan Godinez in 4th.
And Carragher was 4 tenths faster than Cofield that time by.
Yeah, so now you're looking. Here you go. So here's Dylan Godinez. He's in fourth. He is running qualifying laps a second faster than the leader, but he's got 13 of those seconds to make up, Sam. And I don't know that he's going to have enough time to do it once those tires start to fade.
It will be heroic, in my opinion. It will be heroic if he can make up that much distance.
And there he is now. Look.
Then again, we'll be able to tell within the last 20 laps of this run how much tire that Mark Cofield was able to save or use up.
Well, and we're looking on board with Dylan Godinez and kind of compare the hands to Kyle Heath. He's using up a lot more wheel than the man in the 13 was.
Oh yeah.
He is driving that car for all it is worth. There is no tire saving happening here. Dylan Godinez has the boots to it. He's going as hard as it'll go. The question is, has he got enough time to make it happen?
Do you have a differential for their lap time for their pit stop times?
I do not have a pit diff. I can tell you the time in pit lane, and it was 42. Godinez goes by Lee Campbell, so put Dylan Godinez back on the podium. 42.7 for Godinez and Campbell. 43.8 for Carricker, 44.1 for Cofield.
Mm-hmm.
Godinez has gotten by Campbell now.
But now Carricker is actually, now he's within 5 seconds of Cofield.
Yeah, and Troy Carricker is on 8-lap fresher tires than Cofield, so he's coming too.
And Carricker is within a window here that he would be able to catch Cofield with 25 laps remaining.
Maybe so. Remember, Cofield was the early adopter. Carricker stayed out longer. Dylan Godinez stayed out longest. There is 8 laps of tires between each of those cars. 25, the current number for Cofield. Carricker has been out 17 laps. Godinez 9. Lee Campbell 25 laps. Michael Moquin 25 laps. That is your top 5, and they're the only cars on the lead lap with 24 laps to go here at the Rock.
Now, what you'll see if there's a late race caution here, it's going to be very interesting to watch these cars fight it out for the end of this race.
It is, and then
right now it looks like everyone's minding their business, and they're just really, really just pushing the cars for all that they can get out of them here in the final stages of this race. I do want to give a shout out to all the people that have stayed to watch the end of this event. We thank you so much for being a participant in the broadcast tonight. Thank you all for being here with us.
100%. If you like what you see, make sure you smash the like button, ring the bell to subscribe to the P1 Broadcasting Network. Sam and I, we're going to be back at it for a 50-lap shorter show tomorrow night in the Premier Series. That's the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series. We're here tonight in the Black Magic Studios Grand National Series. 22 laps to go here. We're watching Troy Carricker as he continues to carve into that lead. 3/10 again that last time by for Carricker. Dylan Godinez gained a half a second on Carricker and 0.8 on Mark Cofield. And this is going to be one of those, if it continues to trend like this, Godinez in the picture now.
He's going to catch him.
Yeah. It could be one of those giant accordions, Sam. They all run together with about 3 to go, and won't that be a whole lot of fun?
And nobody wants to give up a spot. They will not want to give up a spot.
No, and there's hard racing going on throughout this field, even cars laps down. That's Edwin James. He and Joseph Klein in the Tide Ride, the First Gear Motorsports machine for Edwin James, the Tide Ride for Joseph Klein. They're racing for a position. And so, you look at it like, okay, well, you're a lap down. Maybe you just ride it out. No. I mean, that's a battle for 6th and 7th. Yeah, they're a lap down. But that's 6th and 7th, and those guys are on their own lap, by the way.
They are. Dylan Godinez he's just what some of my racing buddies used to say, he's thrown the cigarette butt out the window, and now he has both hands on the wheel.
As opposed to David Pearson, who had the cigarette, who was it he passed?
Had it hanging out of his mouth.
No, well, and I can never remember who said it, but the guy was telling a story about Pearson. He said that joker passed me at Darlington one time, had a cigarette in his had a cigarette in his right hand. He was signaling me with the other, and he was driving with his knees. I don't think we need to elaborate too much further on what the signal was, do we?
Well, he was just letting him know that he was pointing in the direction he wanted to go. And now we see Godinez is actually within just a few car lengths.
Yeah,
of
he's
Carragher, and
caught
they are
Carragher.
both now 2 or 3 seconds away from Mark Cofield. They're going. This is going to be a race for the win here at the end.
Yeah,
It has played out. Dylan Godinez has made his strategy work. Carragher is just ahead of him. And
he's
we're in
made
the
his
closing
strategy
lap
work.
here.
Yeah,
It's so good.
Yeah, David Dunwood, he checks in. He says, "Don't turn away. Get your popcorn, your soda now, because this is going to be a barn burner at the end." And I tend to agree. Carragher now drops it under 2 seconds. Godin is right on the tail of Troy Carragher. Now these two have to be careful because Troy Carragher, and he hits the
he's
wall.
in the wall.
Hard.
Carragher gets in the wall, and he's in that precarious spot on the backstretch, but he saves it.
All right, so Godinez is
makes
through.
the clean pass.
And that next car up there, that's the leader. That's Mark Cofield, a second and a half up the road. Dylan Godinez can see him. There he is.
Mark Cofield is probably sitting in his car thinking, "You boys race it out," but it just didn't work that way.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Dylan Godinez with 15 lap fresher tires is now on a mission.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Was Carragher, just don't do anything to hurt yourself. You can still wind up second here, maybe. Meanwhile, Godinez is reeling in Mark Cofield at an alarming rate, 0.7 of a second that last lap. So he has not used up the good on the good years. There's still some stickum left, and here he comes. 13 laps to go this time by. He's going to be there in another lap.
Speed.
Yeah.
Oh, he's really closing in on those corners. Big run coming off of the front stretch here as they come to the start-finish line.
Yes, he is. He's down to 0.3. My goodness.
Oh, he's there. He's there.
And that's the 8 lap. That's a 16-lap difference on tires, and that's what that looks like at Rockingham once they get hot. Dylan Godinez is going to, at some point here, within the next 2 sets of corners, he's going to do it here. Just turns it left, right under Mark Cofield. Nothing Cofield can do.
Grip.
Yeah.
So much more grip.
There's just nothing Mark Cofield can do. He might as well roll down the window and wave.
He's going to race him. Oh, he better be careful. He's going to catch the wall.
Yeah, he just about raced himself right into the fence. Race the racetrack, right? Race the racetrack, not the competitor.
Don't let your ego cash checks that your butt can't drive through. So.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Ben Summerford said Pearson was just telling me he was number one. The official explanation from the Silver Fox was that he was so tired he just didn't want those other guys to know it. But that was commonplace. There were drivers that used to. Who was the driver that raced with an unlit contraband Cuban cigar in his mouth all the time? There was one driver that did that. Richard Petty famously chewed on a towel and a lemon. Chewed on a towel. Eddie Sachs, the great championship car racer in the 50s. He raced he would suck on a lemon during the race. Those guys did all sorts of different things to keep their mouths moistened and give them some sort of thing. You got to remember back in the day at Darlington. Watching Mark Cofield work around Jason Heaney. Dylan Godinez is gone, by the way. So the battle is for second, and that has heated right back up. Troy Carragher has now caught Mark Cofield, but back in the day, the Southern 500 might take 6 or 7 hours. It was not a sprint race as it is today.
It was a day-long event. Yeah, there's no question. It was a day-long event.
So was Rockingham. The World 600 might take 8 hours or more. I mean, these were long days at the office, and guys did any sort of thing they could to any sort of thing that they could for comfort. If you go to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, speaking of comfort, and you look in the you can get up close and personal with some of those old championship cars. If you look at the Blonde Exhaust Special, a car that was driven to victory twice in consecutive years by 2 different drivers, Sam Hanks the first time, Jimmy Bryan the second, you can see, yes, Dick Trickle had the cigarette lighter in his car, so did David Pearson, so did many back then. But there were Jimmy Bryan, when they asked him to drive the car the second year, his only condition to accept the ride of the defending winner was that he wanted loops sewn into the upholstery to hold his cigars for during the race. And if you lean in there today, there are 3 loops sewn in leather in the right side of the cockpit for Jimmy Bryan's cigars. And every so often, usually around his birthday, they'll put 3 cigars in there.
We really missed the eccentricity of those drivers back in the day.
Yeah, and they were
one of the Flock brothers had a monkey that he
Jocko Flacco.
Tim, yeah. And so there was just so many different personalities with those drivers back in the day. Troy Carragher is just about to make the pass on Mark Cofield here in the closing stages. He is right on the tailgate. He's picking a line.
He is now. This is the second time that we've
run off of 4 here.
We've had a Dick Trickle reference. It's not the cigarette lighter for me so much as the briefcase full of candy and Winston's. That weren't Winston's, they were Marlboros, but Winston paid him to put the Marlboros in the Winston box. You remember that, Sam?
No, I did not know that. But
yeah, so they pay. He was a Marlboro guy, but R.J. Reynolds paid him to put his Philip Morris cigarettes in a Winston box. But he had a briefcase he carried around in the garage. It was full of candy and cigarettes.
Mark Cofield is not going to give this position up easily. He drives it hard into turn 1 on the high side. Michael Moquin is just ahead of this battle for the second spot. Carragher is now trying to pick another line so that he can try and make the pass on Cofield. Cofield really likes that high side on entry into 1.
Yes, he does.
Moquin is in the mix here.
We're going to have an accident.
Oh, he runs him into the wall. It looks like he's going to be able to. Oh, my heavens.
And that's not all for Mark Cofield. Michael Moquin saved it. Mark Cofield nearly runs in the fence coming off of 2. We're going to stay with this.
Ruined the evening for Carragher. Carragher.
Well, really not so fast, Sam. We've still got 1 to go. Carragher has come almost all the way back from that. I don't know that there's not damage on that. There's not damage on that 97 because Troy Carragher is there. We're going to have an old school shootout for second here. Dylan Godness has got the race won.
There's a big run by Carragher down the backstretch. He's on the outside.
Here he comes. Mark Cofield's going to give him the room. Troy Carragher to the outside. Cofield to the inside.
He's going to make this pass.
Yes, he is. And I've got to believe that number 97 is out of tires. He's going to come across the line in third. Lee Campbell is the final car on the lead lap in the 44. The Goodyears are gone on the Goodyear machine. He goes 50 laps to end the race, and he brings it home fourth. My goodness gracious.
Not only did Dylan Godnez make up all the time that he had lost on the pit stop exchange, but he pulled out to almost a 5-second interval for victory tonight. Great job by Dylan Godnez.
I wouldn't have thought that was possible, but there is Dylan Godness.
It really surprised me as well. The tires are such a big difference.
Yeah, and there's the donuts. Dylan Godnez is going to be your winner. Troy Carragher second. Mark Cofield rounds out the podium. Lee Campbell is the only other car on the lead lap. He'll finish fourth. Michael Moquin rounds out your top 5 in fifth. Joseph Klein sixth. Edwin James seventh. Sean Merriman eighth. Kyle Heath back to ninth. He made up 2 laps, Sam, in that final run to bring it back to ninth. Corey Crandall is going to round out your top 10. Jason Heaney 11th. Mark Owlett, James Hodgson, Trevor Benz, and Donald Green the top 15. Braden Langley, Justin Osterman, Joshua Siegfried, Michael Kirk, and Nolan Milnes your top 20. Keith just pops into the chat. He says he gave it away. Jeffrey Hyatt 21st. Ryan O'Donohue 22nd. Greg Evans, Brian Wasserman, Eric Porter, Paul French, Caleb Jones, Brian Sharp are the remaining starters. John Hutchins did not take the green flag. He will be credited with 29th position. Whew. Sam,
I can't help but think that maybe Mark Cofield racing for that position with Carragher and that, just running out of tire there at the end of that run, and he's just trying to do all he can to keep Carragher behind him. He just kind of overdrove going into one with Michael Moquin just ahead of him. Moquin was really way up the racetrack to give them room, but
yeah, well, I tell you what,
got into the door of him.
We've got Mark Cofield in the P1 broadcasting booth, and Sam, you can ask him that very question. Mark Cofield, you led the balance of that final run and came up just short at the end. Kind of walk us through your strategy and what you were looking at, what you were thinking coming to the line there.
I just kind of figured that 50 laps to go, probably a good time to grab them tires and make a run to the end. And Dylan and the other guy, they just kind of waited a little longer, and I didn't get far enough away from them before my tires went away. And theirs, were better there toward the end. So about 10, 15 laps to go. I mean, Dylan just kind of run me down like I was parking it. It was a good run. Congratulations to him and the 94, I believe it was, Troy.
Right.
Had a really good run. Kind of got held up trying to get by the 8 car there at the end and sent it in on him a little bit. Got into him trying to get by, just trying to stay there in second. Troy just kind of
did it ever enter your mind maybe in those closing laps with Michael Moquin there ahead of you, just maybe just to use him as a buffer or a pick to kind of keep Carragher behind you, and you just kind of drove it in? Were you out of tire that you just drove it in so deep and couldn't steer out of it? Is that what we saw?
It just slid up. I mean,
yes, what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that. Once you get that many laps on the tires, I mean, it's pretty much on ice. Turn 1 and 2 is not near as bad as turn 3, but yeah, I mean, I just run in a little deep trying to stay ahead of the 94 and maybe put that car between us. Just run out of it.
Well, you led a lot of laps tonight, Mark. You had a good run, and it's nice to see you up on the podium tonight. So congratulations on a good finish.
Thanks, sir. I sure do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Kind of look forward to the trucks tomorrow night.
Well, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you dropping by to the interview room. Mark, you led 49 of 250 laps tonight. Do want to thank you so very much for dropping in. Congratulations on the podium. As is the tradition on the P1 Broadcasting Network, if you finish on the podium, you get the mic. So friends, family, sponsors, anybody you'd like to shout out to, the floor is yours.
Yes, sir. I'd like to thank P1 for doing this, and AMA for all the hard work they put into keeping this league running. Cofield Asphalt Refinishing, Cofield Supply and Service, and that ought to take care of it, maybe.
All right. Well, thank you so much for dropping in, my man. Keep going fast, having fun, and we will see you tomorrow night.
All right. Thank you. Y'all have a good night.
Will do,
Congratulations, Mark.
That is Mark Cofield. He is the third place finisher tonight. Troy Carragher is in the Discord chat, but he is not in the waiting room. So I'm going to try to direct him, Sam. While we're doing that, let's see if we can't bring in tonight's winner. That's going to be Dylan Godnez. Dylan, Sam and I didn't think you were going to be able to get back to the front. You come out of the pits, you had 8 lap fresher tires than Carragher, 16 laps fresher than Cofield and Campbell. Talk to us about that. Talk to us about that charge through. Back up front. You spotted Mark Cofield essentially 2/3 of a lap and finished 4.7 seconds in front of him. Kind of talk us through the thought process of I guess waiting that long to pit, and then what you were thinking closing him down half a second to a second a lap for the last 30 laps.
How about that, man? Heck of a show. I'm still hyped up from that. I'm as excited as y'all probably were watching that. That was super fun for me to see the strategy pay off. I've worked all week with my race engineer. We developed a strategy, did some testing and everything like that. We kind of got it down to what line you got to run, where you got to run. Lots and lots of practice went into this race. Wanted a points grab, and I don't think you can ask for more than a win. But this race was all about tires, start to finish. As soon as we were out there, I was kind of sandbagging a little bit, trying to just feel everybody else out. We were all doing the same thing. We were all just giving each other a little bit of slack and everything. But I was actually 10 laps short on fuel, which I was letting off early, trying to save. I made up all the fuel, but then the tire fall off caught up a little faster than I expected, so I wasn't going to pit. I was going to stay out and stretch it to the end because I made up 10 laps on saving. But yeah, once I saw everybody flying by me, I was like, it's now or never. It was a gamble. It was a gamble and it paid off. But yeah, I enjoyed every minute of that. That was awesome.
Dylan, it was certainly good to see a fresh face and someone that finished the race in such spectacular style. I said when you were waiting, I was chomping at the bit myself, thinking, how long is he going to wait? Why? It's getting into that window, and so you had our interest peaked. The thing that I noticed about your race tonight, though, was I don't think that there was another driver that utilized as much of the racetrack as you did tonight, because you ran probably 3 or 4 different lines the entire event. Can you give us, you were talking about how much practice you put in, and what were you finding out about these different lines that you were running during the race?
These cars get really upset when you get behind somebody, so packing that dirty air on the nose can mess with the downforce. So when the front got heavy, it would want to stick down in the bottom of the corner, but that was when you had clean air. So when you would tuck up behind somebody, the front would get light and you'd want to wash up the track. So biggest goal that I was looking at with practicing was tire temps. You got to save that right front tire here. Messing with that brake bias, adjusting your entry. There's all kinds of ways you can manipulate the tires if you know what to look for. Me and my race engineer work really hard on that. Shout out to her. But yeah, it's one of those tracks where there's more lines than you think. There's more ways to run it, but the key part of it was that I had to learn. You had to do it from the beginning, because stage 1 I burned them up way too quick. Stage 2 I kind of paced it out a little better, and stage 3 was all about strategy. I didn't change anything in stage 3 than I did in stage 2. Just saved, I guess, a little bit more than the last guy, but I'm glad it paid off.
It certainly did, and it was exciting to watch you make that big run back up to the front. So congratulations tonight, terrific win.
Thank you, I appreciate it. First league win for me since I've been doing this for 3 years.
Well, congratulations.
Heck of a first one.
That's always a good feeling. You should be jacked up about that. So.
I burned it down. I gave it my best shot. I'm glad I had enough fuel at the end to do that.
Heck yeah. Well, Dylan, congratulations on the win. As is the tradition here at P1, you win the race, you get the mic. So friends, family, sponsors, anybody you want to shout out to, the floor is yours. You talk until you're out of people to mention, my man. You earned it.
Yeah, shout out to everybody that watches these races week in and week out. The support, I'm so grateful for it. Shout out to my race engineer. She helped me out every week. We said we were going to get better, and we did. So shout out to her. Had a really fast DG Motorsports Ford Mustang. Thank you to Eda Enterprises, Tony G's, Hair by Eliana, and Carolina Crate Mods. Man, it's been a heck of a ride. I'm glad we could finally put it in victory lane for everybody.
Yeah, well, congratulations. Well deserved. Congratulations, Dylan. As we say, keep going fast, having fun, and we will see you at the next one, my man.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you.
Yes, sir. That is Dylan Godinez, and we're going to go ahead and flip-flop back to second place finisher Troy Carricker. Troy Carricker. I'm sure he is a character. Troy, you've got Mark and Sam in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy, sir?
I do. Do you copy me?
We hear you, Troy. So you were kind of the meat in the tire sandwich. You had fresher ones. You had fresher tires than Mark Cofield. You had less fresh tires than Dylan Godnez. What's going? I'll ask you the same question that I asked the other two. What's going through your mind in the closing stages? You're closing down Cofield, but Dylan is scorching the track behind you. What were you kind of thinking with 15 to go, and how do you think you could have done anything different maybe to win the race?
To be honest, I didn't really even pay attention to him closing in behind me. I was just focusing trying to close the gap on Cofield in front of me. But I think we had a caution with like 90 laps to go or so, and my thought process was I'm just gonna split the last remaining laps and hope for the best. But you know, he caught me. I didn't have anything for him, but I managed to pull it off and get second, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Well, speaking of second, Troy, well, first of all, let me just say congratulations on a great run tonight. But speaking of second, you're coming down to the final couple of laps, and the 8 car is ahead of you and Mark Cofield as you're beginning to fight it out there for this second spot. And then Cofield drives it deep and loses the front end, collects the 8, and you have to check up a whole lot. And so just give us a little rundown about what's going through your head. Is that you had to get into the binders to keep from getting in a wreck, and then you still managed to close that big gap in the final lap to get around Cofield. Can you give us a little insight to that?
Yeah, when that happened in front of me and I had to check up, I honestly thought I had no shot at getting back up to him. I'm glad that I did. As soon as that happened, I was like, all right, it's time to buckle down and just run clean, smooth laps. And I managed to do it. Coming towards the last, I guess it was the last 2 laps, he shot down to the inside of turn 3 and 4, and I managed to get around him on the outside, which honestly is really hard to do on this track.
It is. It's incredibly hard, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm pretty happy with it. Just starting out in this league, I've only ran a few races and a pretty rough start, but this is, for lack of better words, kind of my home track, so I'm pretty happy with it.
Carolina boys love Rockingham. There's nothing like it. I've just got the information that the Xfinity race this weekend is actually sold out at the Rock this weekend. So, but you had a great run tonight. Great run tonight, and just congratulations. It's so nice to see you get a good finish.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
It is. Now, Troy, if you finish on the podium here on the P1 Broadcasting Network, you do get the microphone. Friends, family, sponsors, shout-outs. The floor is yours, my man.
Well, I just want to thank, for one, my wife. She puts up with me in this.
That's the big one.
The hobby of ours. People that don't participate in iRacing don't quite see it like we do, but she shows a lot of patience towards me, and I'm sponsored. I guess I'm not really sponsored, but the company I'm running now, I actually work there, and I told the boss, I said, you mind if I put your name out there and run a scheme with our company on it? And he said, go for it. So he helps pay the bills, so that's sponsorship enough, I guess.
There you go, Troy. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. Keep going fast, having fun, my man, and we'll see you at the next one.
All right, thanks. Have a good one.
Well
Yes,
done,
sir.
Troy.
That is Troy Carricker. He is the second place runner this evening. And Sam, for only having 4 cars on the lead lap, this turned into a dandy of a race.
No, it really did. It was so nice to see some strategies playing out in the last in the last segment of this particular event, and as far as tires came into play, which drivers were able to save, which one were going to pit, and when they were going to pit, and then to make up that big of a differential. Wow, Dylan Godnez. I myself said it would be heroic if he did it, but not only was he a hero, but he was a superhero and finished 4.7 seconds ahead of the second place car. So what a tremendous thing that we saw tonight, and then you take in the factor about some of our more prolific winners that we've seen in this season. Greg Evans with a very rare self spin coming out of 2. I mean, I think somebody actually said in chat, it's almost like seeing Bigfoot.
Kirby.
You would see Greg. Yeah, it's so rare that you would see Greg Evans make a mistake like that and then turn around and have lightning strike twice, and Kyle Heath speeds on pit lane. I mean, the two biggest winners in our season so far, and some of the fastest drivers that we have, they made their mistakes tonight, and it opened the door for these other drivers to have a brilliant run tonight. So there was a lot of things to pay close attention to, and I'm so appreciative that we had the excitement that we did tonight. It's always a pleasure with you, Mark.
Yeah, no, it always is. And, I think the thing I'm going to take away from tonight is we had 3 new guys on the podium. And that's always good to see. I love it. It's always a healthy thing for a league to have multiple guys. It's not just the same 2 or 3 people always up here. It's always nice to see, multiple people with a shot at a podium. And so congratulations to Dylan Godnez, Troy Carricker, and Mark Cofield, for their outstanding runs. 3 new people on the podium here at the Rock. And if you liked it, we're going to come right back here and do it again tomorrow night. The AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series is going to be live from the Rock. 8:20 pre-race. Sam and I will have the start at 8:35. We have the weekend off. There is a ton of racing action this weekend. It is also Easter Sunday. And so many of the competitors, as well as broadcasters, have more important things to do this weekend. And so we will not be here Saturday or Sunday. There also is qualifying for a rather big race that I'm going to be in on the following Sunday. And so I will be unavailable for most of the day Saturday. On Monday, we are going to be here live on the P1 Broadcasting Network, 8 o'clock. For 8 o'clock Eastern for the IndyCar Open Series Top Split. That's going to be from the Oval at Motegi. And Sam, I'm looking forward to that one, buddy. I love that track. It's probably going to be me and Jason Collins in the booth because we're going to let Clindy go turn himself upside down on the racing surface. Tuesday, Gary Godso is going to be back with the flagship. He and LGN will have the IndyCar Oval Series live from Legacy Phoenix. That's Good Phoenix, Sam. Good Phoenix. Good Phoenix is on the schedule. We're going to have Wednesday off. Thursday marks the return of the AMA Black Magic Studios Grand National Series. 1 week from today at the Talladega Super Speedway. For my partner in crime, Sam Crow, our founder, Gary Godso, and everybody at the P1 Broadcasting Network, we do want to thank all of our competitors, all of our fans. If you haven't already done it, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, be notified of all P1 Broadcasting, be notified of all events, iRacing events at P1 Broadcasting. We've got a ton of them upcoming. We also want to thank all of the first responders, military, police, fire, EMS, all the people that do the hard work at night so that we can lay our heads on the pillow in peace. We thank you so much. Sam!
Loosen the belts. Be ready for tomorrow night. We'll see you.
Get some sleep. I'll see you tomorrow night, buddy.